Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Monday, July 22nd.
Here we go.
How we feel? I mean, come on. It's a Monday. You know, training camp's getting closer. Football's getting closer.
I think it's officially football season. I'm going to be honest.
Not officially, Boone. Not till that first step of training camp, but it feels like it's football eve, football season eve. We're right on the cusp of it. Maybe if you were to put this in December terms, we're at December 23rd right now. Got the 24th still to go, but
not the eve. Not the eve.
But by it was by Tuesday or Wednesday, every single football team will be in camp. Like that means it's over. Like I told Jeff 5 minutes ago, like usually we're in the dead season trying to find topics, and we're like, let's make some stuff up. Let's do this. Not make some stuff up. Like I'm saying, like
topics. Be
stuff.
creative.
Put some stuff together.
Like some ideas. I'm not making narratives up around here. No fake news around here. No, but I'm like, usually we have to find some stuff, and it's like I think like we're never gonna have an issue going forward. Like we're officially out of the dead season. Like today there's 100 topics, and tomorrow there's gonna be 100 more because 100 more teams go to training camp, boys. I've got my energy drink.
Hey,
Always.
Just like a football team, you know, some guys go on IR. Gentry was on IR. He's officially off IR.
We removed him.
I'm back.
He's been activated.
Had a rough week. You know, I don't want to get into the details of it, but it's basically on bed rest for a week. But I'm happy to see the boys back. I was trying to tune in as much as I could, and happy to see the chat. We're gonna have a fucking Monday. Let's go.
You know what?
What is it in baseball, Gentry? Is it the 7-day IL or something?
10-day IL, whatever.
That's what you were on. You were on the you know injured list, the 10-day.
It was a rough week, but you know what? We pushed through. The boys are here. Let's have a Monday.
Let's go.
Have a Monday.
To get Gentry back on track, you just play 18 holes, maybe towards the end of recovery, and he's fired up. You know, get him in a groove. Don't let him get hot. Yep. Now he's back Monday.
Don't let him start cooking. Once I get cooking on par 17, it's over.
Shout out. Jay Hart became a crunch member. Appreciate you, my guy. For people, I'm going to announce this now before we get into everything we're going to talk about today because we have a lot. Jordan Love holding out for a new contract, potentially being the highest paid quarterback. Aidan Hutchinson talking about Super Bowl, his expectations for the season, and kind of went into it on the Rich Eisen Show. Iffy. He spoke about Aaron Glenn. We'll get into all that. But before we do, we have extra training camp tickets. We will be giving them away on the show. We're not going to do a giveaway on social media. Booner, we talked about it last week. Yeah. But we are going to give them away to live viewers, those who need it and those who can make it and can attend it. So I just want to announce that now as training camp gets closer. Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I was just say think about the days you guys want to go. If there's people in the chat who are looking to go, we have every day. Obviously, as we start to give them away, we're going to lose those days. So if there's a specific day, and there's multiple people, we're just going to have to figure out a way. Maybe we'll do like a wheel spin, or we'll do it at random if it comes down to that. But it'll be out throughout this whole week because next week, I believe, is the start of training camp. I believe next Monday is the first day that we have, I think, for public. Either Monday or Tuesday is the very first day. So it's here, boys. One more week and then training camp.
Yeah, and there won't be anything you have to do. All you have to do is be in the chat, and
we just want to.
You can potentially get them.
Yeah, we just want to make sure we give them we're not doing it. It's just free. Have them. We just want to make sure we're giving them to people who can actually use the tickets and go. Like if we give them to you and you can't go, someone else can use them.
Have we figured out what day we're going?
Yeah, I texted you guys a couple of days ago. There's 4 days I believe we're going. I could pull up the 31st, the 1st, the 11th, and the 14th. And then on the 14th, we're actually doing I believe it's the 14th, correct, Jeff? The Sunday where we're doing a tailgate type deal with some other creators on YouTube. I believe. I think Will and Rocked On.
Yeah, it was the one day we didn't have. Was it the 11th or the 14th?
The 14th. And I believe I could double check that. I think
regardless, one of those days. I can't remember honestly, Booner, if I'm being honest. But we are doing one of those days. We'll get that information. We'll clarify that. But we'll be doing stuff. So if you're there,
it's the 11th. I'm sorry, it's the 11th. Sunday,
okay,
the 11th. Yep.
The 11th. So if you're there, come say hi. You know, we'll be there checking it out. It'll be a lot of fun. We spoke about training camp. Well, other teams, and you mentioned it, Booner, starting their training camp, and the Packers being one of those teams. Jordan Love has not gotten a contract extension. It's not some big, it's not like this big ordeal in terms of he's not attending at all. He's there. He's in meetings. He's just not playing until he gets a new deal. And the GM of the Packers, Mr. Brian Gutekunst. it came out and spoke, and this is from Matt Schneidman, who is a reporter for The Athletic, reporter for the Packers, works for The Athletic. And he put out this tweet. Jordan Love will not be at practice until he has a new deal. Brian Gutekunst says Love's camp informed Packers of that decision Saturday. Gutekunst says a deal could get done in the coming days, but you never know. Says big deals take time. And he also said, I feel like we're close, or I feel we're close. And also Adam Schefter spoke about this on Pat McAfee Show. So we're going to play that clip, and then we'll give our thoughts on the situation and our thoughts on Adam Schefter's comments, because he,
this was interesting.
Jordan Love could potentially be the highest quarterback in the league, being paid the highest quarterback in the league. So let's hear what he had to say, and then we'll give our comments on that afterwards. But here's Shefty.
You had asked me about Jordan Love, though.
Yes.
And basically, they told the Packers on Saturday this was the deal. But when you have a guy there, and the GM Brian Gutekunst is on board with that and saying that they're optimistic about getting the deal done, and they understand why he's not practicing, like that's a sign that they're trying to get this worked out. I think both sides think they can get it worked out. It's not done. It could go either way still, but I think by the end of the week, my guess would be that Jordan Love will have a new contract that probably makes him one of the, if not the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. He'll be right there, but they're trying to get that done. It's not done yet. And so the prudent thing is to hold him out, because he's not missing much early on the first few days until they get the pads on.
Right.
And then he'll be there. He was there during the offseason, took part in all the drills then, but they're close enough on this deal now that it doesn't make sense for him to be a part of practice. So, again, they're going to try to get that done. My guess is they do get it done. We'll see if they can figure out a way to get it done by the end of the week.
And there you go. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's something to kind of look for. I mean, I remember last year he got that 1 year extension for like 20-something million. And now he's like, hey, I know it's been 1 year, but bring me my money.
Damn good year.
Go
ahead, Bill.
I was just saying, I'm just more so interested on why, like, if you knew it was coming to this point and you knew when the day of training camp was, and if it's not that big of a deal on both sides, which I'm sure it isn't, why couldn't you just get a deal done before today? Like, how have you guys, like I've seen tweets and reports saying that the Packers aren't really, being like holding strong on anything. Like they both are going to come together to a solution, and they're like right there, and there's really nothing going on with it. It's like, you knew what day training camp started. There's no reason your franchise quarterback day one of training camp, when you're going into going out there to practice and the offense is out there, he shouldn't be like, he should be there. I think that's the most interesting part. Even if he's at practice and smiling and they're all happy, I think it's just a really weird situation that the fact that they knew the start of training camp, like Jared Goff got his deal done, and other guys potentially haven't gotten their deals done. They're still going to practice and still practicing. So it's just a weird situation to me. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get paid the highest amount in NFL history out of a quarterback. And I think that just shows as well, like, for Jared Goff, like how Brad Holmes was able to kind of do that deal with Jared Goff, and it's going to push him even farther down. But I don't understand how they didn't get a contract done by today. It's a weird situation in Green Bay, if I'm being honest.
Because those agents, Boone, those agents want to get that money up. And if you're the Packers, if you're the Packers, but to your point, if you're the Packers, being the highest paid quarterback in 2024 is going to be millions of a difference compared to being the highest paid quarterback in 2025. Yeah. So from the Packers perspective, they're trying to probably get this done right now. But the agents are probably like, you know what? Let's prolong this. Let the price drive up, kind of like the Lamar situation in Baltimore. Jordan Love's going to be a Green Bay Packer. I don't think there's any disregarding that. And I don't really think on the Packers part they're that concerned, because the Packers, at least offensively, defensively, not so much. Offensively, they got a lot of rookie contracts going out there, especially with the skill positions. So I don't think they're in a rush, because it's not going to absolutely cripple the organization where they got to get them signed, because then they got to figure out the rest of the books. Defensively, that's a little different. They got Rashawn Gary, they got Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney, but they did just get a new flush of young talent. But I think it's just a matter of time. I do think that, to your point, Booner, it'll be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now. It'll change, but it speaks to the prowess of Brad Holmes of just realizing the importance of timing in this league.
Yeah, I still kind of agree with Booner here. I don't know how you let it leak this far and how it really doesn't get done. But kind of to their point, like they said, big contracts like these do take time. And I think both sides are kind of working out something that will be both in favor for, obviously, Jordan Love for the future, but they're kind of backing themselves kind of similar to the Jared Goff deal, and they're trying to work out those situations. I don't think it's anything along the lines with, Jordan Love being a diva or anything like that. I think he's going to get his money. I just think it's kind of just working all those things out.
Yeah, if I'm Jordan Love and I'm talking to my agent, I'm like, yeah, just let this thing, let it rock. I mean, Trevor Lawrence got extended. Now you're like, okay, well, I think I'm better than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, from his perspective, so he's going to want more than that. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the highest paid. He's tied with Joe Burrow for the average per year salary. And I think total guarantee, I think Deshaun Watson, he had a fully guaranteed contract. He had like $230 million, but Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence are right behind them with $200+ million. So Jordan Love's going to want anywhere from, maybe 55 and some change, 56 million per year, probably $200+ million guaranteed, which is the smart thing for him. I think he deserves that. 100%. I know it's a tough argument because people bring up, he's only had 1 year, but damn, it was impressive, especially how he closed it. So I think he deserves it. But the difference with him and Jared is Jared's already gotten paid, and he's willing to be like a top 5 paid quarterback. And that's okay with him because he values winning, wants to get paid, obviously, but he's okay with taking a little bit of a discount, a little bit. Jordan Love, on the other hand, it's like, hey, it's my first contract. You guys have had me on a pretty good bargain. Yeah, back up that Brinks truck.
I think it's like smart from his agent to say if you're his agent, outside of like Jared Goff, like obviously Jared Goff and Brad Holmes, they were able to get a deal done because Jared already has gotten a big contract. And it's the same thing with Trevor Lawrence, where Trevor Lawrence, it was his first contract. So he's like, I'm going to wait until someone else gets a contract done so we can see what the number's at. I think it's smart of Jordan Love for them to wait as long as possible. But Jared Goff already got his done. Trevor Lawrence got his done. All right, now you know where the market's at. Now you want to go above them. That was done a month ago. So you had a 3-week span of being able to go out there and get that done. How is it not done? And if the Packers aren't the ones that are sitting there going, "Oh no, we're good. Like there's nothing on our end," then why don't you just sign whatever deal that they're bringing to the table so your quarterback can be present and be on the field day one? It's a weird situation.
I guarantee, at least it's obviously can't confirm everything, but they're waiting for Dak to sign because the leverage they have is Dak's going to reset the market and he can go, oh, who just beat Dak Prescott in the divisional round this year? Oh, Jordan Love. Oh, when was it in his first year? Dak's going on his second contract. Oh, okay, yeah, let's bring that over here because the Cowboys are even a worse spot financially. They got to pay everybody. So if the Cowboys are willing to fork over that money, why aren't you willing to fork over the money to the Packers where they can kind of eat that contract a little bit better than Dallas? And Dallas is a team that I think as Lions fans, even Packers fans recognize that they're not a threat to the Super Bowl, but they're a team that you got to get through in the playoffs most years. So that's a team that you got to have a good quarterback against. And if you could have the better quarterback and a better contract situationally, I would do it. But I guarantee his agent's waiting for Dak to sign.
The problem is with that is Dak's not going to sign this offseason. That's the problem. They'll sit there and wait. Like I already saw. I think I was with Jeff when the reports came out saying that they're prioritizing extending CeeDee Lamb right now over Dak. And I'm sure they're going to prioritize Micah Parsons over Dak. So if Jordan Love, if you're sitting there, dude, you're going to be sitting there for a long time because Dak might go into this year with no extension. And that's just like a fact. Jordan Love now, like, dude, you might as well just sign now and get it. Like, you reset the market. That's what I would say.
Even Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence made it. I think they were both in the divisional round, if I'm not mistaken. I think they both made it. Yeah, because
he beat Herbert. He beat Herbert in the wild card.
So he could be like, okay, well,
down 30 at first.
Trevor Lawrence is tied for the highest paid quarterback per year, and he has one of the the second most highest guaranteed money, second or third. That's the base. Mm-hmm. And he had a better year last year than Trevor Lawrence ever had statistically. So he's got a lot. And if you wait, I know it's 1 year, and there's we talk about he's really good, but we just want to see it. If you're from the Packers perspective, you don't want to wait because if you wait and he goes out and he plays even better,
if he does what he did to end last year, like that the last 8 games last year, if he does that for a whole 16 games in the playoffs, like you're paying, and other quarterbacks are going to sign as well next year. Like there's other he's going to end up paying. They're going to pay a lot if they don't. But I think they're going to get it done within like the next couple of days. It's just weird, dude. Jared Goff was waiting for his contract, and he was in Allen Park working out every single day. So like he's literally. There's pictures of Jordan Love smiling, walking onto the practice field. Like, suit up and go play. That's the difference from Jared Goff and Jordan Love to me.
Hey,
suit up. I don't care about them. Suit up.
He was around Aaron Rodgers a little bit, Maybe got a little bit around Aaron Rodgers,
He's around that diva LaFleur, too. Sees how much he pays attention to his eyebrows. He's paying attention to his contract.
Whoa.
Take a shot.
No SBSU shots, just more Packer shots, Boone.
Well, it's just everyone out of SVSU is just absolute grinders. No divas from
No
SVSU.
one's safe.
Grinder.
Just a bunch of dogs come out of SVSU.
Dogs.
Yeah.
No divas.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm with you with that. I mean, they're not really doing much, but still, it's a good example. I mean, you have 1 year starting. I mean, he's in meetings, but at least being out there, you're not going to get hurt. I mean,
dude, you don't even put pads on for a week, I don't think.
So that's where it's a little confusing. I think it's more about sending a message to the organization, like, "Hey, I'm sitting out. Like, I'm serious. I want a contract."
Boone, you remember when Goff's contract was going on, or the contract talks were going on, and we were thinking it was taking forever? Could you imagine if it leaked out this long? Like, how much would you be panicking right now if you're like a Packers fan in this situation with Jordan Love? Are you like, what the hell? Just get it done. Like
in training camp.
I would be furious if Jared Goff's went this long, which people thought it, like there were actually people out there who thought it was going to go this long, and there were people who actually thought Jared Goff wasn't going to even get extended. So like, if he would have made it this far, and then Jared Goff sat out during the start of training camp, like we get a report tomorrow or Wednesday that Jared Goff's sitting out, I would be like, all right, Brad, you've done a lot right. Let's just get this thing done here because we just had a quarterback take us to the NFC Championship game. If I'm Packers fans, I'm like, this quarterback just beat the Dallas Cowboys, or like they just got they did beat the Cowboys. That was who they beat. Yeah, they went out there and beat the Dallas Cowboys on the road. Like, give this man an extension. Like, get this thing done. We'll figure out the money later. This guy needs to be playing.
Yeah. I mean, you still got to go out and win the NFC North, and according to USA Today, they might have a chance. We'll get to that later.
Ooh.
Getting Packers getting gassed up a little bit. Good team, very very good team.
I think that article is going to fit Klotz's narrative very very well too.
Yeah. It's, by the way, USA Today predicted every division.
Which narrative, bro?
You'll see.
Hint.
I don't have the Packers narrative.
Me and you go to war over this narrative.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay, we knew
when I looked at it.
Yeah, he knew. Hey, I'll tell you one person who went to war, and that's Connor Stallions. Man went to war. And they're coming out with a documentary on Netflix about Connor Stallions. It's called Sign Stealer. And he's explaining his side of the sign stealing scandal. It's coming out late August.
What a dog.
Why? I mean, like,
people need to know the truth. People need to know the truth.
You're milking it now. I mean, Connor Stallions, you could tell this is to keep him relevant, to be honest with you.
This is to keep Michigan relevant during this run that Ohio State's about to have with the Chip Kelly offense, not the Ryan Day offense, the Chip Kelly offense. You'd rather be watching this documentary than watch Alex Orji try to throw a football 20 yards down the field. Look, he's got a cannon, but it's going to be thrown in the damn sideline one out of every 3 attempts.
How funny is it that
week
Michigan...
one of college football season too?
Yeah, that's like I think instantly. It's like game week for Michigan.
Midweek they're dropping that before Michigan plays or something.
It actually, since like college football is just starting, that might end up being like one of the biggest Netflix docs and like of all time. It's not because of Michigan, but what I'm saying is, all right, you guys, before you guys all me with college football being like that week. I mean, dude, college football is massive. Like, we know what the football reach is. You're talking about college football. If every college football fan watches that, like, everyone's going to be dialed in. Dude, come on.
Yeah, but you got to think receiver just came out and everyone was.
It's going to be bigger than receiver.
It's not touching that. No, it isn't.
You think it'll be bigger than receiver?
I think it'll be in the top 10. Like, you know how receiver was the number 1 on Netflix? It'll be in the top, like, let's say top 5.
I mean, that everyone's going to watch it. Mean anything. Netflix is ass. They only have probably about 10 good things on there at a time.
That's fair. I don't know, dude. I'm excited to see it. I want to see what Connor Stallions has. I sent you guys the picture when I was going through the prep.
Look of him, Boone.
Dude,
I was supposed to be there either. Was that at the Ohio State Michigan game?
That was at the Ohio State Michigan game. He was like not suspended, but this was like an off campus. It was a off campus pregame show. It was the Barstool pregame show, and I went there to go talk to some. Shout out Spider, a couple people that I was going to shake hands, with and talk to, and I'm just like talking with them, and then he just walks up. I'm just like, oh, and I told my boy, I said, is that him? And he's like, yeah, don't tell anyone. And I just snagged a picture real quick. I was like, boom. And I was like, he is one of the greatest Wolverines of all time. So yeah, a little bit.
You had to pay your respects. I feel.
Yeah. National championship. That man had a manifesto to go win a national championship at Michigan. And whether it was illegal or legal, whatever happened, we'll never know. They went on to go win a national championship with that man. And his manifesto came true.
I can't wait to actually just hear what he has to say. I think it's just going to be hilarious.
I hope they play those clips of him freaking out on his couch that were like leaked weeks after the whole allegation, and him just going psycho.
That's me watching my bets on Sunday.
This is definitely a chess move by him to A, stay relevant, but also B, I think he got a lot of the blame, as he should, but he's going to be like, yeah, I was working with some people. All right. It wasn't just me. There's no way he took the fall. He took the complete fall. There's more to it than just Connor Stallions.
Even from like an Ohio State fan, even when this was happening, like I thought it was just the biggest nothing burger in the world. Like every team steals signs. Like I think just honestly, like even like I genuinely do think the NCAA had it out for Harbaugh this year.
Well, Ohio State did.
He was just. Well, I just think the whole like NCAA, obviously Ryan Day is going to. I mean, he should have been fired after this year, but he was able to stay around. And then they were like, okay, you're not calling any more plays, bring in Chip Kelly. Regardless, I think they were just out for him. They had a witch hunt for him, and I mean, it is what it is. It's a fair natty. I can't take anything away from Michigan this year.
The fact that Ryan Day was behind his brother in the the investigation thing, like the undercover person, and they were all connected to turn Connor Stallions in Michigan in, and then it came back and it didn't get confirmed, but it was confirmed that Ryan Day was the one that did it. And then he still goes on and loses. He takes him down, still goes on and loses to him, and he still has a job. Like that's one of the most like
weak-minded, soft, just sell out things. Like that's exactly why, like the epitome of why I can't stand Ryan Day on the sideline.
And what I can't stand too is there are people who legit like, and we all know who they are. There are people who legit will like go at Michigan for the Connor Stallions thing, which you got caught. But everyone in the SEC does it. Everyone around the Big Ten, everyone has people out there stealing signs and going to games. I'm sure as soon as they found out Ryan Day did that, and that someone got reported to the NCAA, they all hurried up and went to their pay phone so no one could track it. And they say, hey, get all the boys back now. Like, get them home now. We don't need anyone out there stealing signs. The NCAA knows everyone. Like,
dude, fucking UTEP's doing it. When Marcus Davenport was at UTSA, they were stealing signs. That's what they were doing. It's happened since the dawn of football.
That's why I hate the excuses about using that as the Michigan National Championship. Like, shout out to Neil Rule. Neil Rule always used to like go at it. Like, well, you guys still cheated. Like, everyone does it. They just got caught. Like, what are we talking about here? And then he'll admit it and then still be like, well, what about it? And it's like, dude,
I love Neil.
I love Neil. But that's like the Michigan.
I hope they bring this up and they ask him, like they put the picture of that dude on the CMU sideline up and be like, is this you? And like, see what he says.
Yeah, like Andrew saying, sure, they steal signs. They don't dress someone up and have them infiltrate a stadium. Like
I'm sure they do.
Because they don't have military members on their coaching staff. Like Connor Stallions was probably like the most diehard. Like he will have the most Michigan lore to ever surround him. Like Harbaugh needed a scapegoat, and he probably volunteered his tribute so fast.
We should
do something to make the sacrifice for the team. He was going undercover, putting the face mask on, like he was back in the day when he was serving overseas. Shout out to him for that. But yeah, I mean, it's just he was the perfect guy to take the fall.
They should have done some personal investigation stuff on Nick Saban. I bet you find a lot of stuff there.
Hey, don't disrespect. Hey, his
what about
time,
Florida? When Florida won the national championship?
Sure, that was Urban Meyer.
I don't even care about
that. Was Urban Meyer.
Yeah,
Urban Meyer was up to some shit for sure.
Yeah.
If like think about like even they talked about the U, like the downfall of the U, and just all the legal things that were going on there. Like it's been happening in college football forever.
Mm-hmm. And there's people who still go at Michigan. It's crazy, man. Just let it go.
Yeah,
sorry, your teams aren't winning national championships.
Oh my God, the first one in like how long since?
And it's all right. I get it. Yeah, first one since '97. That's fair. I admit that. But we still won. We just won one. So
yes, we did.
Defending national champions until January.
There it goes. And then you got Alex Orji under center this year. How fun! The Don is your 3-down back. Throwing to Samaj Morgan. Can't wait for that.
Hey, don't let the Don go crazy this year and beat OSU.
Dude, he's not against
Don't let him go crazy and beat OSU.
Caleb Downs is planting his ass in the fucking turf. He's going to try to do that little swing screen route. And Caleb
Here
Downs,
we go.
Nick Saban defense.
Hey, I do love Loveland. No pun intended. But
Colson's good.
Really good.
Colson's a dog.
Dude. Yeah, he is an absolute dog. He's won me a lot of money. I don't win a lot on betting, but betting on Loveland, very reliable. I mean, Michigan winning the championship, the national championship, it'd have been nice if the Lions won the Super Bowl the same year. Probably going to do it a year after. but it's still going to be a nice 2-year stretch when the Lions do it. When the Lions do it,
why are you talking like Michigan's not going to win another?
It'll be this year when Ohio State and the Lions hoist at the same time.
Okay,
that'll be disgusted. I don't think I'd ever be happier. You wouldn't be able to wipe a smile off my face, and they'll still fire Ryan Day.
I hope somehow, some way they like just absolutely fall apart and don't even make a college football playoffs. That would be like one of the biggest.
You would. But let's face it, Ohio State compared to Michigan. Michigan still got some star talent, but there's a lot of holes in that roster compared to last year. Ohio State, I mean, they returned everybody and they got like 5-star, number one in transfer portal at his position, number one transfer portal.
They do have a squad, dude. They've done good, and they added some good coaches.
And they just got, and Jeff was kind of trolling me with it earlier, but they just got a mid quarterback, and that's what they need. Like, I'd rather them have a mid quarterback with that amount. Like, give them an AJ McCarron. Don't give them a Caleb Williams.
Jeffrey Collum.
Dennis Wick on the reporting per Jeffrey Collum. No way Jared Goff released. Line signed Ben Roethlisberger per Jeffrey Collum. Well, Jeffrey Collum's very reliable.
That's a bomb by Jeffrey.
Yeah, 419 legend Ben Roethlisberger.
Dennis Wick backing him up.
Finley legend.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah, and the dynamic. Yeah, that's Kobe Shaq. That's what that is. Dennis Wick and Jeffrey Collum. Well, I have a player that, maybe he didn't quite get Ryan Day fired, but he definitely pushed it a little closer, and that's Aidan Hutchinson, all right? And he discussed his manifesting a Super Bowl, what he envisions when the Super Bowl is over this year. He's talking to Rich Eisen. Let's hear what he had to say regarding the Lions' Super Bowl chances.
I need to hear the words, Aidan. What are you visualizing?
I'm visualizing the Honolulu blue and the white little confetti coming down and doing some snow angels. So that's the visualization.
Yeah, I mean, listen, why not? Right? I mean, you have to positively visualize and speak things into existence. Certainly,
I feel like a lot of guys have been saying Super Bowl this, Super Bowl that, but what gives me a lot of joy is when I know when those seconds are ticking down, confetti's falling, take that deep breath, knowing that you did it. That's what I look forward to.
You're visualizing, brother. What are you visualizing?
See, boys, hey,
he needs we need to get him a bigger size hat. The hat looks like it's suffocating his head.
I felt like I was listening to Booner right there. Boone, that was speaking right to the path.
Aidan Hutchinson's a part of the Booner path. He knows exactly what it is. I mean, I don't even know what I feel like in the fact too. I'm going to say this: the Booner path. We talk about Super Bowls. That's the main thing is winning Super Bowls. I like the fact, and if you listen to the whole interview, there's I saw a 6-minute clip of it. Aidan Hutchinson refused to say Super Bowl. He was like he kept trying to ask him hey, your expectations for this year, what are you kind of visualizing? He Rich Eisen is one of the best of all time. He kept trying every which way to get Aidan Hutchinson to say we're looking to win the Super Bowl this year, and Hutch just would not say it. He would not say it, and I think that's a little bit of Hutch is visualizing it. He explained what he wants, and he has that mindset of let's I don't know. At least for me, it's hey, take the pressure off. And let's just go win football games and play football. We know what the end goal is. It's to go win a Super Bowl. That's the Lombardi Trophy is it. And him doing snow angels and Honolulu blue confetti, that's what that's all about. And bringing the Lombardi home to Woodward Avenue. That is exactly what he's trying to say there. But keep the word. Go ahead, Hutch. Keep the word Super Bowl out of your mouth and just one week at a time. I like that. And I think every single player on this roster and person in every single building in Allen Park has that same mindset. We know we're going to go. We know what the goal is this year. No one even has to say it. That's the new expectation. You don't even have to say what it is. We know what the expectation is in the building now. The Booner Path. They all know it. I'm sure they all talk about the Booner Path walking the halls. They all know Super Bowl or bust. I don't know.
Lucas, you're muted. But boys, I got some chills right there.
Rookie move. But then right next to the grit on the going through all the hallways in the locker room, Boone will say grit, and under it says sponsored by the Booner Path.
The Booner Path.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Before they go off the practice, they jump, they touch the top of the doorway. It's a big metal plate that says Booner Path.
And
they head out the practice.
I got some chills there from Hutch there, boys. Not gonna lie, but I feel like every week goes by, I get more confident that Aidan Hutchinson's going to be, I mean, I already think he's in that top tier edge rusher, but I just think he's going to be one of those elite guys for years to come. So when you come out and you hear your best player on your defense, the leader of your defense talking confidently like that, it's just got to have the whole locker room fired up. And I'm glad we have a guy like Aidan Hutchinson. I think he's going to be one of the best edges for years to come. And I think he's giving me the confidence that he may make a run at Defensive Player of the Year.
I don't hate it. You and Booner are aligned in that.
That's
I mean,
part
when
of the
we
Booner path.
hear this Super Bowl talk for, the entire offseason, it does get, I just want to see guys put on pads, let's play some football. All right. I just want to get to the season, let everything play out, because it's probably, and that's part of it. I at least in my opinion for Hutch, like he just gets asked and asked and asked about Super Bowl. And he's like, I mean, what do you think? We're a Super Bowl contending team. And then for Rich Eisen, by the way, whose voice, I mean, it's literally you could just put it on as like ASMR or whatever. The dude I could listen to Rich Eisen all day. He's amazing. But he was like trying to go around the word Super Bowl. I think he's more focused on the feeling when you do win a Super Bowl, like like he said, the confetti, the feeling that you finally done it. Like, I like that perspective, the visualization of it, rather than just being like, yeah, I mean, we should win it. We're a good team. And, that's the goal. Like, nah, screw that, man. Like, he's like manifesting it, which I'm not really I'm not a huge manifest guy, but I respect it. All right. And I love it from Hutch. I do. And I think he's going to be an absolute beast. I'm with you, Mike. And
not
Booner.
a manifest guy.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't really
manifesting guy. You don't believe in like speaking it into existence?
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to talk it into existence.
No, like, do it. I feel like it's like a delusional thing, but I feel like if you get very delusional with things, like that's how you become successful. I don't know. Kind of
you know what? To that point, I see what you're saying. I think where I was coming from is the manifesting doesn't happen without the work.
Absolutely. That's where people. That's just working.
Yeah, just wishing. I
think
with Aidan, it's like he's wishing, but he's gonna work. Which
that's why I think he's like visualizing, and he's not saying like Super Bowl. Like when they gets asked about it, it's just like we we know what the goal is, but like we will manifest it. But like you have to have the mindset of going in every day to work, because you know how easy it is to go in and be like every single day just talking Super Bowl. Like you get overwhelmed. That's where you see a lot of teams in the history of the NFL or the NBA and these teams who are supposed to go on to win, championships, and they never do because the pressure is too much for them, or like that's all the talk is, and they never fulfill that. So I think it's like, again, like what I was saying earlier, it's like, hey, let's not talk about this. Let's just focus on one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and eventually that's going to come. Like he knows that, like he said it, like when it comes to February, like we're going to be playing football. Like in January, we're going to be playing football at the end of it. Like he knows. It's just about like how can we prepare day to day to get there and to win those days in January and February. So I don't think he's worried about like the manifesting stuff. Like there are people all the time. I say this all the time when I want to do stuff. I didn't get to where I am right now without manifesting it, because I tell people, like, I've heard of so many friends and people I grew up with who have all of these like ambitions and things they want to do, and they never do it because they just talk about it. They're like, go do it. Like go out there and do it. Like manifest it. Go out there, talk about it, and put the work in and do it. That's like, there's people in the league who go out there and they're the worst. All the Panthers people. Oh, we want to go to the playoffs. We want to go to the playoffs. Go do it. Quit talking about it and go do it. Manifest it. That's how I look at it.
Is there a Panthers narrative out there, Boone?
No, I just made that up. I thought the worst team in football.
Yeah, and I think we all agree. We all agree, because I think there's people out there like me. I'd be like, I'm manifesting becoming a millionaire, and it's like, like, and then it's like, it'll just appear, or I'll be this. I'll manifest it. Like you got, obviously, it's two. It's both. And Booner, everyone, you guys have all worked your ass. So it goes both ways. But yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you.
Thank
you for putting me in the same category.
This is one where I think it is, where it's just
see that
can't really do the work there.
There's certain things
you're stuck. I mean, that's
manifest going and getting surgery somewhere or something.
Doc's off the leash.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah,
so Lions camp it starts tomorrow or Wednesday. So we get Doc Wednesday off a day of camp. 2 days actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Spencer.
Yeah, shout out Spencer. His Booner chill. I can't be getting too pumped up before bed. I actually got to go back. I got to go back to Spencer here. I'm growing it out. All right, no more. I'm letting it grow. Healthy
It'll
hair.
it'll look fresher too.
I need you
to kind of let it grow.
I keep getting confused between you and Klotzy, dude. I need you to grow it out.
I
need some sort of difference around here, dude.
Come on. Hey,
I got a baby face. I'm 22 years old, and this little goatee thing is the most facial I've ever had in my life. I wouldn't even call it a goatee. Just like chin cubes.
Hey, get in the lab with some beard oil.
Manifest. I got to put the work in.
Yeah, like I can't just manifest a stash like Mike. Like that doesn't. That's Mike's. You know.
It's earned.
It's
earned.
Yeah,
it's earned.
That stash is earned. You know. I get it. Like I 100% get it. What I don't get, boys, is why ESPN had this team over the Detroit Lions in its power rankings. You want to find out what team that is? Real quick. This team, I couldn't believe it. And they ranked. It's kind of interesting. This isn't just like a basic power ranking list. They do front office, they do quarterback, I think, and then they do the rest of the roster.
It's overall roster, quarterback, coaching, and front office.
So it's like every.
Fair point.
Oh my God! So it's everything. It's everything.
Yeah, it's overall. Yeah.
Hey, what do I always bring up on the show? And Booner, you're with me.
Yeah,
they have it. It's
quarterback, head coach, and GM. They just added, and I think the obvious answer of like if you have a good football team is like you have to have a a roster.
But so usually they don't rank all three, like they don't grade all three of them, which I like that. That's how you tell.
The Holy Trinity.
That's
and I think there was a specific 3 guys or 4 guys who did it. I got to pull it up here. I think Louis Riddick was one of them.
Yeah, multiple contributors. Dan Graziano, Louis Riddick, and Aaron Schatz.
Yep. Okay, that's who it was. Yep.
Louis Riddick's on here. We got to take it seriously.
Let's take it seriously.
Let's take it seriously. Let's see.
You heard Klotzy. You heard Klotzy. Let's take it seriously.
Some would say your goat. All right. Now he is.
That is my goat.
And real quick, I know the Inside the Den was on. They always go live at 8.
8 o'clock, dude. We need to hit them
they
up.
Always hit us with the 8 o'clock Inside
By the way, too, I'm going to throw this out there. And the doc, I know you're listening right now. If anyone has a connection or knows the people who run the social media at the Detroit Lions, please connect me with them. That's all I'll say. But I'm trying to work on something. If someone can connect me with them, that's all, dude. I've been looking around, dude. I've been on websites. I've been on Twitter. I cannot figure out who to get connected to.
You all know the rabbit hole, Boone? You gotta hit him up on TikTok. You spam him on TikTok.
All right, maybe that's
how you do it.
I figured maybe someone here or the doc or someone knows someone I can connect with.
Spam their comments on TikTok. They reach out a lot. They'll interact back.
I've got business to be made. All right, ESPN. Let's do it.
Sorry, real quick. I had the wrong date and day on the stream, so hey, that's kind of.
Oh no!
Wake up!
Hey, that's
you went on vacation and come back. You're not locked in. Be better.
Well, you know what? Take the pressure off me. Let's look at Louis Riddick. All right, let's look at this list. First team they have on here, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, they got overall scores?
They have scores, and they value it with these 4 things. So
I think this is the best way to do it.
I actually think this is sweet. I like this a lot because they have the NFL rank next to it and the overall score. So they have the number 1 coach, number 1 quarterback, which we would agree based on our rankings we've done on the show.
Yep.
Front office, they have 2, which I'm curious to see who they have 1. An overall roster minus quarterback, they have 2. So, I mean, I don't really.
Yeah, who front office would be 1? I know who the overall
the Rams
is.
It's got to be the Rams if it's not the Chiefs.
I don't know.
That'd be a good. I would accept that one. I wouldn't be mad at that one. But let's go to 2. So they have the Chiefs at 1, overall score 95.3. 2, they have the Baltimore Ravens with a score of 91.6, and they grade their overall roster minus Lamar 4th in the NFL, quarterback 4th, coaching 5th, and front office 3rd.
I think that's fair, to be honest. All of those.
Yeah, the rankings are fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're top 5 in about everything.
Yeah. So I don't hate that. Now, so where it gets interesting, right? Okay, top 2 teams. Okay, cool.
I don't like that.
Who's 3? The Buffalo Bills.
Oh, wow.
Hey, well, Louis Riddick. Let's see what he had to say. All right.
Let's see.
Oh no.
So overall roster, this is what gets me. I mean, like.
Yeah, 10.
Every team, the top 2 above them or the 2 above them are like top 4. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, the 10th roster, but, coaching's 9, but, Josh Allen.
Like, I think what brings them up is the 2 and the 4. Obviously, those two. I mean, when are we just? And I'm sorry to go on a little rant here again. Like, I get what you guys are saying. The Bills roster, they lost pieces and they took a step back. When are we, like, the disrespect from you guys? And I hate having to stand up for the Bills because people are like, "Oh, Booner, the Bills guy." Like, no, I'm not the Bills guy. Like, I don't care about the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, and he gets disrespected. But the disrespect from you guys, yes, you guys with the Bills, I think I get it. Like, I completely get that their roster, and maybe they shouldn't be 3. They should be top 10, but their roster did get changed a lot. But when you still have certain pieces like they do, especially a top 3 quarterback, you're never going to take the step back that you guys are sitting here saying. Like, I get you guys trying to say the roster is different. Let's be very realistic in the NFL here. We've seen a lot of teams throughout NFL history lose pieces, but still have a top 5 quarterback and win football games. We see that a lot. So, like, I get what you guys are saying. They're going to take a step back probably from top 5 to top 10 in the NFL. But, like, let's throw the disrespect and be just a little realistic going into the NFL season here.
But I understand what you're saying where quarterbacks can carry you to wins. But as far as the season, no. Like, there's been multiple – Drew Brees went on, like, consecutive seasons where they're 8-8, 8-8, 7-9. Same thing with Ben Roethlisberger. They all had pieces there. But I think the Bills right now –
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was compared to Ben Roethlisberger coming out of college, and still up until last,
like, probably Hall of Famers.
They were Hall of Famers. Drew Brees, Hall of Fame, Super Bowl winners, both of them. I think when you look at them, Josh Allen, I think the team is going to have to find their identity again. The defense is not going to be there. Sean McDermott's going to be able to coach it up a little bit because he's a defensive head coach. But I think when you lose Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen has never really had a run game. But he's always had Stephon Diggs, and even before that, he just had very friendly weapons with Cole Beasley. I know it wasn't anything, but they didn't have anybody there. If you look at them, when they had Cole Beasley in that team, they were like an 8-8 team. So when you look at it, defense was probably a little bit better. The run game is going to be better, but I still think they just lost so much offensively, especially in the secondary too, that is key when you're playing against the Miami Dolphins and New York Jets. They're still going to be like a good team that's going to beat some good teams, but as far as a Super Bowl contender, a playoff contender, I just don't see it because of the same argument you're having with Josh Allen. You could put even more so with like the Joe Burrows of the world and the Justin Herberts of the world. So
you put them
I'm not saying that they're better, but I think the teams around them are better and the coaching is better. I'm not in love with Sean McDermott. If there was another, like an offensive head coach with Josh Allen, Booner, I'd be like, you know what? I can really hear you out. But Sean McDermott, I think he had some flaws exposed last year. And I don't think those are some type of things that you can just give away and that they're just going to go away when your roster gets worse and your division's getting tougher.
Yeah, I don't think the Bills, obviously, Booter, I don't think too highly of the Bills going into next season. But the biggest problem with this to me is the coaching being 9. And for all the reasons Lucas just said. And I do think, obviously, their offense is going to take a step back this year. I don't think the weapons around Josh Allen are going to be too good for him. And I do think even the defense takes a step back for them as well. So, but my biggest problem with this is definitely the coaching being 9.
Yeah, I don't think Sean's
and
top.
Booner, I think you can even agree with that.
I said I don't think they should be 3. Like they should be. I think I would put them 8, 9, or 10, or in the back end of the top 10. But I just think like as I saw this, I was thinking a little bit, and in every single rankings we've ever gone through this offseason and anything we've talked about when it comes to NFL as a whole, everyone is consistently still high on the Bills. Besides the 3 guys I'm sitting in this room with right now. And I don't know how else at this point to like, all right, I just like, all right, let's just wait and see then. This
let's define let's look at our differences. So when we talk about playoff contender, Super Bowl contender, where are they at to you?
They're obviously not, because when we did power rankings, I didn't have them in my top 5. They're obviously to me like a 7 to 11, 7 to 12 team throughout the whole year. That's where they were last year as well with the players that they had. Like I just think they're in the same similar spot. When you get to the playoffs, those 7 to 12 teams can go on a run and win a Super Bowl. We've seen it before.
They can. But
they're not who knows? Like, but they're not a Super Bowl contender. Like, I think any of those teams from 7 to 12 can go on and win a Super Bowl. Like, if they go on, if they get hot and they like, you can't tell me with Josh Allen, if somehow, some way, Keon Coleman ends up working out and that defense finds a way to click with some new guys that they brought in and that offensive line ends up being good and James Cook works out. You can't tell me if they're clicking on all cylinders and they end up getting the full potential out of that team that they're not going to compete for a Super Bowl. Like, yeah, they will. That's the question you guys have with them right now is they have so many new pieces and they've lost pieces. Can, with this new team instantly with Josh Allen, turn things around and get back to where they were. Like, that's the only question you guys have with them. So, like, yeah, if they're clicking on all cylinders, they will, or they can. But you can't, like, I'll be the one to admit it. You can't put them in the top 7 right now at all. And then people do it. Like, you see this right here. But, like, you can't do that until you see it. That's where I'm at. Like, so I do agree with you guys, but you guys putting them at like 15 or 16th in power rankings when we do that.
No, I put them at like third. I think they're going to be on like the playoff bubble. I think they're going to be in a similar
that's
situation.
Where I think it's crazy.
Like, I think they'll be the team that's like the first team out, like kind of like how that bubble that the Pittsburgh Steelers are always in. I think the inexperience that they're going to have compared to what they had losing Jordan Poyer, losing Micah Hyde, losing Tre'Davious White, losing a lot of those, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis. Like, I'm not denying that they don't have talent. They had a lot of young talent, and I think they're in a bad spot in the division. And I just think it's hard to going to be able to overcome some of the things that they have in the past. And that's going to amount to
like Boone. What if I told you like this? Like, your argument, you just said, well, you just get the playoffs, any team. So the Chargers, I'll just say that then. Chargers, they can go on a run, make the playoffs. They can make a Super Bowl.
They can go on a run. Yeah, we've seen teams. We've seen teams make runs in the playoffs. We've seen teams make runs.
But
probably they're not going to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to win a Super Bowl because you have to go through a team like the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Yeah, but like. In years past, you've seen teams. You saw the Jaguars go to the AFC Championship out of nowhere. Like, we've seen teams do it. Let's not act like what me saying teams can go on a run in the playoffs is a crazy statement.
No, it's not.
Because we're talking about the Bills.
Like your Bills, we've seen teams do it before. It's like, yeah, we've seen a lot of people do a lot of things.
I mean, someone step in here, like Klotz, someone like Jeff.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, where the Bills have more potential, but like, I do love Josh Allen. I think he's a great quarterback, but I just think his surrounding cast is something that has, because he makes a lot of turnovers, and that's part of his game. I'm not knocking him for it. That's just the way he plays. I don't think it's ever going to change. But again, the pieces around him, again, he overcame them, I think, a lot more than they did. But the supporting cast he had around him, especially defensively, kind of kept him in those games like the New York Jets, where he threw 3 picks, but they're still in the game. I think those games are going to be more losses than they are wins, and I think it's 1 or 2. So you look at it, they barely won their division last year because they went through that rough patch with Stephon just absolutely going nowhere, and he was just a no-show. That hurt their offense. I think there's going to be a couple more games like that, and they result in losses instead of wins, and that knocks them out of the playoffs by like a game or 2. Then the next year, they'll be right back in the playoffs. Keon will be in year 2, and the Bills are back. But I think this is just kind of like a 500 year for them, maybe like a 9-8. But I don't think they're going to be dog water. But I don't think they win the division. I see them just falling right outside the playoffs. Then if they make it in, a first-round exit.
Yeah, and they're playing in one of the best divisions in football, and for them to maybe have an off year and then kind of bounce back off of that and recoup some things with their roster, I don't want to say it might be the best thing, because then they might be coming up with a head coaching change and they might just get a new group in there for Josh Allen. But like I said, I'm not too confident in the Bills, especially with that division. I think the Jets are going to be pretty good. I think the Dolphins are still going to be good. So
see where the Jets and Dolphins are on this list.
Yeah, well, this list is the Bible. I would disagree with that.
Well, no, we're having a conversation about the list,
But before we move on, I want to ask you, because so people don't get confused. What's your take on the Bills? What do you think? Like, over, just to clarify.
I think they're going to end up. They're going to end up being a team that wins 10 to 11 games, and I think 10 or 11 games could potentially win that division. I think it's one of the, like Gentry said, it's one of the toughest in football. Like, if you have Aaron Rodgers healthy, like 10 or 11 is going to win that division. I think they're going to have a chance down the stretch to win it. And if they don't, I think they're for sure a wild card team at least, and they can make, like, that's a team that's, it's like, yeah, you might not want to see a guy like Josh Allen in the playoffs in a wild card.
So your very least expectations are probably what ours are.
Wild card. I think wild card is like floor for me, and I think they potentially can win their division as well. So
okay, well, the Bills are 3. Louis Riddick listed his concern here.
We spent so much time on the Bills.
Let's just move on to the next one. Don't even read his concern.
There we go.
Lions came in after them.
There we go, boys.
I you know what? Finally, they are 4th. Should be 3rd. But look at the rankings here. So overall roster 3rd minus the quarterback. Quarterback's 12th, which I think the quarterback should be a little bit higher. A couple spots higher, in my opinion. Coaching 3, which honestly, that's my. If we're talking about all assistants and everything, I can see that too. But that's really good. 3 NFL rank for coaching. Front office, I don't know. In my opinion, if we're talking just coaching and front office, I guess if you're including Ben Johnson, that's fair. I think you should swap coaching and front office. Have coaching 6, front office 3. even maybe a little higher.
I just think Ben, just to your point, makes it so outweighed.
Which probably is fair.
I think it has to, because I think if you look at like the Ravens and stuff, like we talked about Jim Harbaugh kind of being behind the 8 ball, but they always just have loaded coordinators and loaded coaching staff. So I think they definitely took that into account.
That is interesting.
No AG either, man. No respect for AG.
The AG,
I voted on by the players, or whatever it was last
year. Very fine
AG
defensive coordinator. Very fine.
Yeah, very fine. Defend the Glen.
I do think, though, the overall roster at 3 is like not shocking, but I think that's like big time that the Detroit Lions are ranked NFL ranked 3 with their overall roster. If you take Jared Goff off, that means they obviously the defense has been in question, but they must like what they have on the roster on both sides of the ball. I do think you could say quarterback obviously should be 8 or 9. Front office should be at least top 5. And in coaching, I think they are putting in Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson. So I think third is perfectly fine, because you are adding in a guy like Ben Johnson and AG who were going to be head coaches as well this year, and they both had opportunities to. So I mean, they should be third overall. They should be over the Bills, to be honest.
Yeah, what I would change real quick, I would say quarterback. Everything in this list should be top 10. Every NFL rank, I think quarterback's top 10. Coaching, if you want to say with Ben, that's fair. I don't hate that. And the front office should be higher, in my opinion. That's the things I would change.
For
front
sure.
office should be. I think they're top 3 in the NFL.
They got that boy Goff sinking the ship right now, and I don't think Goff. I've said it before. I think guys like Jordan Love potentially, and I think are right now better than Jared Goff. But having him outside the top 10 at this point, I don't see the hill that you could really stand on, just because he's put up numbers, and yeah, he's got a good team around him. But for how long are you going to take that away from players like that? Because if you look at all the quarterbacks were just listed, their teams are all loaded. That's why they're in the top 3, top 4. So I don't know. When I look at that, it just kind of makes me wonder how they're grading these quarterbacks. If you're putting Goff at 12.
Yeah, no, I'm curious in that too. I kind of just want to scroll through the list to see like where the other quarterback is ranked as far as the NFL.
Before we go, can we just look at the concern, because I thought this was interesting. We can go do the whole one, but the concern there, Louis Riddick kind of talked about this. He went on and talked. He talked about. Oh, actually, no, it was the nugget to know. It was about the Detroit Lions defense. And I didn't know this, but last year the Lions had the 4th youngest defense based on snap weighted age. So like how many players with the age actually took snaps. Yeah. And then it's projected this year, the Detroit Lions heading into this season are projected to have the youngest defensive roster, like or starting team out on the field. So I think that's pretty interesting to kind of think about, that they've ranked the roster 3rd and you still have the youngest defense technically in the entire NFL, and they still rank the roster 3rd. That means like Brad. That's why it's interesting that GM 6 and the roster's 3, because like Brad's put this roster together in like from the ground up, and you have that roster ranked at 3. Like Brad should be ranked way higher.
Yeah, I mean with how young they are, I do think it's a good mix, because you have a guy like Terrion, but then you have a guy like Carlton Davis. You have a guy like Brian Branch, who's younger, but then you have a guy like Kirby in there. You have a guy like Jack Campbell and a guy like Anzo. You have a guy like Aleem, and you have a guy like DJ Reader. So where they have young players, a lot of times maybe they're not starting over them, but they have a ton of veteran depth compared to what they had last year, even though they were technically a little older. I just think they revamped that whole defense, and even in the depth parts with young talent, that's what they needed, because those guys will be around to develop with those veterans next to them.
I mean, just looking at their no, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say I think Lewis's reason for concern is spot on, and I think a lot of people will agree with that.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting point. I mean, the more you look at some of their good, great players, even their defense. I mean, you go across the defensive line, all young. DJ Reader, they signed a little older, but even Marcus Davenport isn't 30 plus years old. I mean, he's like 27, I think. So you're even Aidan Hutchinson. You have Aleem McNeil. And then you still have some of the young guys, Josh Pascal, Levi, Onzarike.
For
and
now,
then you drafted some guys we
bring
like.
Up Broderick.
Bring up Broderick
for Levi.
Yeah, Broderick. Yep, Broderick. Yep. And then you look in the back end. I mean, Carlton Davis they brought in, but besides that, they have Amik Robertson, another guy. I think he's closer to 30, like maybe 27, 28, whatever it is. But everyone else is young. I mean, their linebacker is young besides Alex. So I get that. That's an interesting conversation. We assume this defense is going to be top half of the NFL, but it's I can't think off the top of my head young defenses that are top 10. Like I don't really see, and I could be wrong on that. but
I don't know.
I think it's harder for a younger defense to be like elite.
I think a lot of it has to do with the depth, though, because if you really start panning through, like if you look at the starters, like even the defensive line, Aidan, he's been around, Aleem, been around, DJ Reader, been around, Marcus Davenport, been around, Carlton Davis, been around, Anzo, been around, Brian Branch, Kirby both have time under their belt. But then when you start getting in the depth, like you were just saying, Wingo, Pascal, Terrion, he's not going to be depth, but Ennis, there's a lot of depth there that's young. So I think that's where it kind of like scales it over.
That's fair.
Well, like on here though, it does say like based off the projected 12 starters, they are going to be the youngest defense in the NFL. So like if you do think about it, like those guys have been around. Ali McNeil's only going into what, year 3, or year 4. Aidan Hutchinson, year 3. Like a lot of these guys are year 2, year 3, year 4, and then if they're not, they're rookies like Terrion, like Brian Branch, year 2, Iffy Melifonwu, year 3, Kirby Joseph, year 3. Like these guys are for starters and Pro Bowlers, and you're going up against the best of the best. Typically, some of these guys around the NFL, when you look at the best defenses, like to Jeff's point, they are in year 6, year 7, year 8, and they're kind of in their prime, their Pro Bowl, they're all pro seasons. And if you look at the Lions, like they're growing up together. Like Brad's brought all of these guys in and drafted all of these guys outside of Carlton Davis's and stuff, like, and DJ Reader. Like outside of those guys, Anzo, he's brought all these guys in. So I do think it's going to be interesting. I would love, I think this can be a top 10 defense. I didn't realize how young they actually were, but I've been pretty highly on, going into this season saying, hey, a lot of these guys are going into year 2, year 3, year 4, when typically, the reason they were top 25, they were 26th and 28th and 30th the last 2 or 3 years is because of those guys. Like they weren't starting 3 or 4 year guys. They were starting rookies 2 years ago when they only won 3 games. They were starting rookies and second year guys when they won 9 games. So that's where I think like you typically don't see that in the NFL, to your point, Klotzy, like that you don't see that a lot. And it's kind of, it's the way they've done it is a way that you haven't really seen it.
Yeah. I mean, even Aaron Glenn, who we've defended easy, shout out to him to defend the Glenn. That was because a lot of Lions fans, it was a lot of pressure on Aaron Glenn. And I think we all could see it we were talking about sports at the time too, last year, and on a different network. And we all agreed mutually, given what he was given, it was tough. A young defense, guys that were, you're signing guys middle of the season like Kindle Vildor to come start for you. I mean, it was not ideal for him. And then Iffy came back and played really well. And we talked about this year that AG this year, a little bit of an under a microscope, even though he has a young defense, but people are going to be looking at that defense like, what can they do? What they have offensively, especially with Ben. But Iffy went on a podcast, and shout out to Easy for tweeting this out, but talked more about what him and AG discussed in terms of him being able to identify and execute blitzes, because he turned into an absolute menace at the end of the year too, getting after the quarterback, making big plays in the backfield. So let's listen to Iffy on that meeting with AG, and then we'll talk a little bit about AG and Iffy. But here's that clip. Let's check it out.
Definitely. AG, our defensive coordinator, he loved blitzing. Like as you guys seen, it's either blitzing the nickel or he's blitzing the linebacker, or he's blitzing me, really. And it was just like there was play calls you would get in the huddle, and you just know once he called it, I'm getting a sack. I'm getting a sack. Like 100%. I'm getting a sack. Or I'm getting a quarterback hit. And yeah, I think that's something he's always gonna have that in his game. And especially how well I did it blitzing. I think he's definitely gonna carry that over into next season.
Got to.
And he thinks a lot about that stuff. Like I'll be in his office like after practice and after meetings, and he'll explain the blitzes to me too. Like, you're gonna show this way. Don't show it too early. It's gonna be open. It's either gonna be you or the running back, or he'll tell me like no one's gonna be there for you. It's just gonna be you. So I'm excited to see what the things he comes up with next year.
Damn, how does that help you though? Because I know like just having those meetings, getting those mental reps before you even in the game system, like, and then that shit showing the same way that you already thought about it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, bro, he's so smart. Like a couple times he done told me like it's gonna show up exactly like this, like that. The Broncos play where I strip sack on Russell Wilson. We called that exact blitz to that exact play like 3 times, once a day, like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And usually it never happened like that. You run You know, you run this play call against this coverage, but in game they ran this coverage, or you run this play call against, and then you run this coverage against this, and they run the ball. It was the exact play, bro. Like, I can't make this shit up. It was the exact play. And that happens a lot. Boy, AG, that'll happen a lot. So definitely good just, you know, meeting with him, even if it's just like 5 extra minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Sometimes it was over an hour, and just giving, like, he'll give me like little advice, me and the other safety, Kirby Joseph. And then it will show up in the game. So that was good. I'm definitely going to continue to do that.
I mean, hey.
How about that?
I think this is my thing with AG, and we've talked about it a lot, but I think Ben Johnson, rightfully so, is a wizard. And you've mentioned this to Lukas a lot. Last year, his adjustment to, you know, work with what he had and make the right adjustments and kind of get everything he could out of this defense, despite having Kindle Vildor. No offense to him, but he's getting taken advantage of right now. I mean, we're just taking shots because it's true. You know, he was starting out there at corner. Cam Sutton was hurt. He wasn't playing well. He's playing awful. Like, he put some things together, and to hear Iffy's perspective on meeting with him and AG calling things before it happens. Like, I think AG is much more dialed in, you know, much more qualified to be a defensive coordinator. Very, very smart. And he's done a really good job of developing players. He's done that very, very well, which Iffy took some time, but look at him last year. I mean, and now you're hearing directly from the horse's mouth here. Iffy saying, yeah, I met with AG, and he would say, you know, XYZ is going to happen. This is what you're going to do. And he would go out there, and it would happen exactly as AG said, which he deserves credit for that. I mean, he does.
Yeah, I mean, that gives you confidence too, especially when you're a DB just flying around the field. When you have a defensive coach who is a former corner, he's going to want to play a lot of press man-to-man. So you got to be aggressive, but you got to be playing confident. You can't think. You just got to be coached to know how to do it, because once you start thinking, when you're doing those blitz plays, 1 second, somebody's going to be wide open down the field. If you're out of position, there's going to be wide open passing lane, running lane, whatever. So the fact that these players just have so much trust and those things have happened, especially young in their career, that's when you can really see. I think Iffy was a guy that honestly kind of saved the season defensively for the team, especially when Aaron Glenn made those defensive adjustments. I'm Booner, you said it, and I agree with you. If Ifeatu Melifonwu were to play that last stretch of the season over the full season, he was the best defensive back in football, let alone safety. He was the best defensive back in football if he can do that. I don't expect him to come out and replicate that, but with so much more talent, with the style that Aaron Glenn plays, I think these players are just going to see ball, get ball. And I think that the style that Aaron Glenn plays, those are the types of defenses. You look at Steve Spagnuolo, you look at what Jim Harbaugh does in Baltimore, the man-to-man defenses that just send the house and play aggressive. That's just going for the offense's throat and creating plays for your defense, and that's the style that wins Super Bowls in this league. I'm really excited to see what Aaron Glenn does, because I've said it once, I've said it twice, I'll say it 1,000 times. I do not see a situation where Aaron Glenn does not show up this year and improve this defense in a significant way, where they're in Super Bowl contention. You're not worried about the defense being an absolute liability. I think there's going to be some weaknesses in this defense, just like every NFL defense. But so from what we've been seeing over the last four to 3 seasons with the Lions, I think it's going to be a night and day difference this year.
Yeah. The biggest thing too, I've said this a million times, and I wasn't one of the defend the Glenn guys. I was more so one of the guys at the beginning of the year when things were going wrong on the defensive side of the ball, when you knew you had a top 5 offense, to where I had faith in AG. It was just like, hey, like you have to, like, we get it that you don't have the pieces right now. CJ went down. Iffy was injured at the time. Like, he didn't have the pieces. He didn't have the defensive line that, you know, you were sitting there expecting that Brad Holmes thought he was going into the year with. You had Kendall Vildor on the outside. It was a point last year to where it was like, hey, you just have to scheme something up to go out there and at least give your team a chance to win. And I think all credit to AG. There was a point in the season where AG went out there and did that, and he said, "Hey, we're switching things up here. We'll give up big plays. We'll send different guys like Iffy. We'll send different blitzes. We'll do different things, and different schemes to kind of go out there and do what we can with what we have." And I think that's the thing. Like, credit to AG for doing that, first of all, and now the fact that he's going into year 4, and he has in my mind, outside of the edge group, he has a legit NFL defensive roster and players that he's able to go out there and use now and do whatever he needs to do. Like this, like he has a secondary now. Like, they went out and addressed the secondary more than almost any team in football. You trade for Carlton Davis, you draft 2 corners, you bring Amik Robertson in, you still bring back, you still have Iffy, Kirby Joseph. Like, there's no excuses when it comes to that now. Now it's just more so like going out there and doing. I think AG could do it. I'll say it now. This is what's going to happen. Lock it in. I'm not going to go top 10, but it is a guarantee, a Booner guarantee that AG will have a top 15 defense. Like they were 25th last year. They're going from 25th or 26th. Whoa. Whoa. It's going to be top 15 no matter what. Like you can't have this defense that you have and have a defensive coordinator. Like there was a reason Aaron Glenn had head coaching opportunities at the end of last season and was taking interviews. And yeah, Jeff, we said, obviously it's because he's a man of the people and he knows what players need. And he's very good at being kind of the team guy and building a culture and talking to players. Like that is a big reason as get a head coach job. But he also knows as a defensive guy, we see in the NFL, defensively, head coaches don't get jobs that often. DeMeco Ryans got it, but teams love offensive guys. And AG took all those interviews. So I think like AG is going to get this team at least top 15. That is a lock. Now, I think they can get to the top 10 and get to 9, 10, 11, 9, 10. Like, I do think that's completely possible because I've said it now. I'll say it now. I've said it a million times. The Super Bowl runs through this defense. We know what the offense is. It's a top 5 offense. If this defense steps up and becomes top 10, you're going to win a Super Bowl. And I think AG can put it together and go out there and do it. We just have to see it at this point. Like now it's all about just visualize. Like I just need to see
manifesting the Boone.
Yeah, we could talk all we want. AG could talk all he want, and he knows this too. If we talked in person, we would have the conversation. I'd be like, AG, we can have these conversations all we want. You guys just got to go out there and do it now. Shout out to fellas, go out there and do it. Be dogs.
Well, I think the big part about being a defensive coordinator is establishing a system to where players can just play fast and they don't have to think. And that also takes some time. On top of that, especially when you have a young defense. They have the youngest defense this year. They had one of the youngest last year. That's why it's taken AG some time, not only acquiring talent, and Brad's done a good job of helping him out with that, drafting players, signing players, trading for players, etc. But the other part is with a young defense is just getting these guys to just go out there, play fast, not think. And I think that's what Jack Campbell's going to do. That's what I think Aidan and these guys always just don't. They just go out there and play. But guys like Iffy now, Kirby, Terrion will do that eventually, but that's how it should go. Derek Barnes is another one. Just going out there and playing fast. So I think AG is a very, very bright coach. I do. And I think his leadership is something that organizations are going to be interested in. You brought it up that defensive coordinators get, they don't get jobs as often, but, they're going to get an opportunity. I think what helps that is having that leadership quality. That's going to help you. Like DeMeco Ryans, hell of a leader. That helps, because I'm not hiring you just to be, especially in an offensive league, just to be a very, very smart defensive-minded coach. Can you establish a culture? Are you a leader of men? DeMeco Ryans is that. John Harbaugh is that. Other guys that are defensive-minded coaches, they're that. I mean, even Eberflus, who we're not a huge fan of, what did we, when we had Bears media members on, they bring up his leadership or the locker room buying in. Like that matters. So I think AG is a capable head coach. I think he will get an opportunity eventually. And I do think, depending on the situation, that helps. But I think he will be successful. It will work out for him because he just gets it. And he's a former player, so players respect that. So I'm a big fan of AG. And I think it'll work out this year. Top 10, maybe I'm not as high on it as you are, but I think they'll be way better than they were this year.
Here's the thing, the Booner's top 10 point that I think a lot of people forget about. The Lions last year, and Aaron Glenn definitely does not get enough credit for this. Yeah, their secondary was terrible, but they had the number 2 rush defense in all of the NFL. And you talk about Jack Campbell stepping up, bringing in DJ Reader. That's going to help that. So this is a team that could be the number 1 rush defense of the NFL potentially. Maybe they could take a step back and be number 3. But that secondary was probably bottom 25 in the NFL, and you were really relying on that secondary not to play good football, but to play good situational football, because you saw Christian Watson getting burned down the field at home, and they're like, all right, let's switch it to zone. Switch it to zone, and you're just getting cooked. So finally, after that game, he's like, all right, we can't rely on stopping teams all the way down the field. We have to let teams, if they get inside the 20, that's fine, but you're taking 3. I think this year, Aaron Glenn's finally just going to be able to play defense. I think it's going to be more of a top 12 defense, but when you're saying that, could they easily be top 10 at that point? Absolutely, especially if the run defense stays the same.
By the way, too, in that video, I thought it was interesting. Like Ifeatu Melifonwu, in the final, well, I think he since that Bears game that he kind of really started playing and was back from injury, he had 8 games, I think, and I think he had 5 sacks, like counting the playoffs. He just said in that video, I'm pretty sure if I heard it correctly, he mentioned that he can't wait till this year because he thinks like AG is going to do that a lot more with him and use him more, in those kind of situations, getting to the quarterback and putting him in positions to get sacks. He had 5 in 8 games last year. Like, how many sacks will Ifeatu Melifonwu, if he stays healthy for 17 games plus the playoffs, like how many sacks will he have if he had 5 in 8 games? Like, he was saying that there was times where AG would scheme it up and he would just be like right there with the quarterback, and he's like, this is the easiest sack of all time. Like, if he keeps scheming him up like that, if he comes out of here with 10 sacks, I mean,
all right.
What was I mean, he had 5 in 8 games. What are we?
This is the thing, though. This is the thing. They're triple teaming Hutch. I mean, if Iffy should have around 5 sacks this year, because I think that's still very tremendous for a safety. But we talk about Hutch Defensive Player of the Year. You have to send Iffy and Branch because they're focused on Hutch the whole time. So I think Iffy, he's definitely going to be on those situational type of blitzes. But going back to what we were saying, like for him to replicate that last stretch of the season, especially when the defense gets better, Iffy could play better, but I don't think that necessarily leads to production. He just might have less of an impact statistically, but on the field, everybody's going to know who Iffy is at this point. You're going to try to stay the fuck away from him.
Well, to be fair,
at least the more Kirby, more Terrion, more plays for them to make.
To be fair, too, last year, I want to throw that out there because I looked at it and I was like, that's great. He was like 4th on the team in sacks last year, or if you count the playoffs, 3rd. But the thing is, like, they were having to blitz because they had no secondary. Like, that's not going to be the case this year. So it will be a little different, but yeah, no, 5 sacks for Iffy. Like, if he plays 17 games, lock that in.
Watching Iffy was like watching Russell Westbrook on his triple-double streak. I mean, he was just filling up the stat box in every category possible, and it was every week that he was on the field. It was insane to watch because you think that teams would notice. And then it's like
so fun to watch.
The game for the NFC North. Like, you would think Kevin O'Connell, great offensive head coach, like Iffy's been on a tear, and that's Iffy's best game, and he shuts down the NFC North with a pick to seal it. So I still say I think it'll be Branch and Kirby, but Iffy's still gonna have a season. As far as
he was dialing a phone number with that box score. I mean, that's what Russell Westbrook does. It's just like pass deflection, sack, couple tackles, maybe an interception as well. I mean, he was unbelievable, and he's big. I mean, J-Rod, if he's 6'3", so he's getting his hands on footballs too. I mean, that's just what he does.
I mean, just hearing Iffy talk about AG though, like now like Kirby's had so much success, like Brian Branch had so much success last year. Like, why now. Like, Terrion, that makes me feel like even better for a guy like Terrion and Amik Robertson and Enos Rakestraw. Like, these guys are going to come in and have success because AG is so good at helping these young guys out, kind of form into what they're supposed to be doing, and he puts them in the right. Dude, he's going to have a great secondary.
Think about how happy AG is walking in this season, because last year, I mean, think the season before, they had Juju Hughes, Will Harris out there. That's 2 years ago. Man. They enter into this training camp. He's like, you know what? It's not that bad. We got Emmanuel Mosley. We got Cam Sutton. We got CJ Gardner-Johnson. Oh, Cam Sutton happened to be literally the worst corner in all NFL last year. Gave up the most passing yards out of any corner. Kindle Vildor decides to step in. CJ Gardner-Johnson and Emmanuel Mosley both get hurt. So he's practically left in the same situation in 2023 that he was in 2022. But the expectations are higher for him because the team's better. It's like, this man's got to have some type of ingredients to cook a meal if you want to get to the Super Bowl. And he really had none. I mean, he had CJ Gardner-Johnson coming back, but when he came back, there was noise. So that was just a headache for him to deal with, because CJ Gardner-Johnson going into the season was supposed to be his guy, the guy that he coached in New Orleans, couldn't figure stuff out with Philly. So, you know what? Come with your old DC for a little bit, get things figured out. And it was the exact. Yeah, Jerry Jacobs. My God. Didn't even remember him. Seattle game was brutal.
That Packers game?
That's love.
Jerry Jacobs. I'm not going to get into Jerry Jacobs stuff. We won't do that.
He visited with Carolina today.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, I'm wishing him well, man.
He was one of those, and Jerry, probably great person, but he was one of those guys where he had like a couple bad games, and people would like our jobs are to talk about, like, break the game down. Hey, what happened? Jerry Jacobs gave up a bunch of touchdowns, and then you break it down, and then a week later he would have like an interception, and then go get all these receipts and be like, I'm that guy. I'm the dog, man. Like, I locked this thing down. Oh. And then it would be like bad game again for the next 4 weeks, and then he wouldn't say anything. And then he would have one good game, and then he would talk all this stuff online, and then he would have 4 more bad games. It was just like, all right, dude. Like
he had very
bothered
thin
me.
skin.
Yeah,
Very thin skin.
he when he was good, he was quick to hype it up, but when he was bad, he just was really quiet.
Yeah, and I will say with AG, the thing I do love, last year the Lions defense had an identity. Good defenses have an identity. Their identity was stopping the run. That's what you got to have an identity. If you're not, you're just kind of throwing shit together, throwing shit at the wall, seeing if it sticks. I mean, they at least had an identity. It's like, we're going to stop the run. We're going to force you to pass the ball, and you're gonna make some plays. But
you're going to cook our secondary.
You're going to cook our secondary, but we're going to get some turnovers. And like Lucas mentioned earlier, when you get to the red zone, you're not going to score a TD. You're going to have to kick field goal
on the rock.
Yeah, because you can't run the ball. Yeah, so you're throwing in tight windows there. Real quick, earlier, Ubaldo became a Crunch member. I wanted to give a shout out.
Ubaldo.
Spirit of Detroit says Jerry Jacobs was an opportunistic corner. He paid for jumping routes, and he would turn a 10-yard catch into a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he was
very physical too. Gave up some pass interference. Yeah, but then he'd have the game like against the Packers where he has 2 picks, and you're like, what?
Yeah, the 2 picks makes up for all those other games.
No.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah. Boys, I don't know if you've seen. I texted you the NFL's top 100. They started dropping it on Twitter. It's a few players in those 90s.
I saw it like 81 through 100. No Lions players yet. So I'm hoping everyone, we start getting some more.
I'm really interested, especially after seeing this ESPN list. I know it's by the players, but I'm interested to see where they have Goff. Because I think Goff could be a guy that's like, I could honestly, because of the Lions being so successful, I could see him in like the top 40. But then if like it's players, and I'm like, well, that team's nice, but Jared, if he's just not ranked, because there's years where Kirk Cousins be going off and he's not winning like Jared is, but he'd be outside the top 100. He wouldn't be in there. And people tier those players similar.
I'll give a spoiler. So picks, like Booner said, 84 through 100 dropped, and there is 3 quarterbacks in there. Do you want to take a guess at who they are, Lucas?
I bet Jordan Love's one of them.
This is 84 through 100.
Yeah. That might be a little too low. Give me one of them so I can guess the other 2.
Trevor Lawrence.
All right. Fuck. God, that's if he's in the 100.
And he was ranked 96 last year, and he's 94 now. So he went down 2 spots somehow.
Trevor Lawrence? Is Baker in there?
No, Baker is not one of them.
No Bake Show?
Boone, you have a guess?
I saw it, so I'm not going to guess.
Shit. All right, never mind. Back to Lucas.
No, 100.
It's in that tier probably.
Streams
only says Tua.
Yeah, maybe I'm trying to think. Tua.
Well, to be honest,
Kirk Cousins
players dropped 40 spots from last year.
Okay, so Kirk's got to be one of them because they're going to put him in there because of injury, but they're still going to put the call on.
Another one we talked about a little bit earlier in the team he plays for.
Well.
Wait, say what you just said again. I couldn't really understand.
We talked about him a little bit earlier in the team he plays for and how good their division is, or how good we think it's going to be, and we think they have a good chance of winning.
Yeah, so Tua?
No, it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is 92.
Well, he didn't even play last year. Duh.
Yeah. And Trevor Lawrence 94, and then Kirk Cousins is where the fuck did he go?
Kirko? With the Achilles, tough.
Kirko bangs, yeah. So Goff will 100% be top 100 then. Good.
Yeah. He'll probably like top 60, I would guess. I bet you it comes out tomorrow. I bet you he's in that.
Kirk's 81. Sorry,
I would say like the Lions should have like
that much higher than Aaron Rodgers. Wow.
My guess
Kirk
is
was 42 the year beforehand, so he dropped.
Oh, and
then
Jared
A-Rod
Goff
was like 40s. 52.
Well, I know a lot of the national media very high on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. USA Today might be the highest. They came out with their division predictions, and they came out with their division predictions and their team predictions. This is for every team, and the teams circled are in the Super Bowl.
This is
oh my god! I didn't see that NFC North. I'll take down my. I just saw the Colts and got happy.
That is just clickbait city.
Yeah. Wow. excited for this list because I saw my Colts up there, but then I'm trying
swap
to think.
the Lions with the Packers and then swap the Colts with the Texans. It's a good list.
They just wanted Aaron Rodgers versus the Green Bay Packers. That's how they initially went about.
Yeah,
this.
no, that's a very good point, Booner. Especially who is a U. Yeah, I see that for sure. I don't understand some of these win totals are what. I mean, the Falcons winning 9 games is kind of mind-boggling. The Eagles winning 10 games is mind-boggling. The Texans, or not the Texans, the Jaguars winning 10 is mind-boggling. They're like a 6-win team, probably. No, I'm kidding. But
the one that's interesting is the AFC North. They have the Ravens 10-7 missing the playoffs.
Well, I mean, 10-7, but we talk about all the time, Boone. This is a division that's going to come down to a game or two. And if they got the bang, like I could see the winner of this division winning 11.
Yeah, but they don't even have them like that division sends 2. So the Browns, Bengals go. Like the Bills are the fifth seed in the AFC, and the Ravens are 10-7. Don't even make the playoffs. Like that's the AFC this year. Like it's going to come down to week 17, 18. The AFC will.
I don't think the Seahawks only win 5 games either. But I do want to point out one thing. When we did our tier list, I think it was just me, you, and Booner, Lucas. The 4 bottom teams we picked, the records aren't looking so good. The Panthers, Giants, Patriots, Broncos. So they're pretty head to head with us on that.
Yeah, trying to think.
I agree.
I mean,
Broncos winning 4. That's still generous.
I think the Seahawks are not going to be great, but I don't think they're winning 5 games. I think they still have a pretty good defense, and they still have some offensive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you some things I do like, things that fit my narrative. Cowboys 8-9, like it. Okay, fits my narrative. The other thing, Jags second fits my narrative partially.
Second,
Technically,
the Texans first, so it still fits my narrative. And the other one would be, I guess, the Falcons winning the division. I guess I like that one. I think the NFC West will be a little closer than 3 games. I can see maybe 12-11. If you like, maybe the 49ers win 12 games, Rams win 11. Like, I don't think it'll be a 3-game difference. And I also think that the Eagles will be a little better than that. That's my opinion. I don't think 10-7. I think they're more of 11-6, 12-5. Yeah. And the Lions at 11-6. I don't hate it. I just hate how good the Packers are compared to them. I don't hate the 11-6 because I am at 12-5. 11, so it's like a win difference. Yep. But the Packers 13-4, I do have an issue with. I don't think they'll be that. Like maybe 10-7, maybe tied with the Lions. Like they're not going to be that 2 wins better. The Lions 2 wins better than the Bears. I don't agree with that.
I do think like the Packers stuff, the hype with the Packers is starting to get a little bit like, hey, we saw what they did at the end of last year. The Lions, obviously, remember when the Lions went 9-8 and almost went to the playoffs, or should have gone to the playoffs. And then, can you guys keep that up there? Because
I meant to go full screen on the picture, but my fault.
No, you're good. But like you see, like the Lions go 9-8, and then the next year, like last year, the Lions were picked to win the NFC North by everyone. I think it's a similar thing with the Packers, except the Lions didn't regress. So that's where I'm a little bit like I don't like them winning 13 games. I think it's going to be like you said, or Jeff. I have the Lions winning 13 games. I think the Packers are at like 11-12. So I think it's like they're up there. I just don't know if they're going to win 13 and win the division. And maybe that's because a little biased, but I still think they're going to be really good. 11-12. The Eagles thing. Been saying this, like the NFC East hasn't had the same winner in like 13 years, back-to-back years. It's always a different winner. And the Eagles, their downfall last year was like they were so good, and then their downfall was so fast. I think they're going to be a 2 or 3 seed in the NFC playoffs. I think they're going to be really good this year. And the Cowboys, I'm not shocked that they missed the playoffs. They have too much. And then also the Bills. There's another place that's putting out there that the Bills are going to make the playoffs and win 10 games. I've been saying. I think they get to 10 wins. The only shocking thing to me in this whole thing, the two most shocking things, obviously, let's take the Packers away. I think the Texans not even making the playoffs in the AFC South, and then the Ravens not making the playoffs. Because you do have to understand, like every year there's 2 or 3 teams each division that don't make it. Like that's like a weird random stat. It's like there's always 2 teams that made it that don't. The fact that they basically chose the Ravens, Texans, and Dolphins as the 3 teams is a little shocking to me. Like the Ravens and Texans being the 2 teams that fall out of the playoffs in the AFC this year, that would be like, that's a bold prediction. That would be insane.
Your Bills and Commander narratives are saying strong though, Boone. 10-7 for the Bills. They make the playoffs, maybe not the win count. Your Commanders getting 7.
Yeah, I've been saying that.
Yeah,
Jamie Daniels.
To kind of what you were saying earlier, though, Boone, as far as like everybody getting on that Packers hype train and like, oh, the Lions went 9-8, the Packers are doing the same thing. Well, the Lions went 9-8. Aaron Rodgers left the division. The division was completely wide open, especially with Jordan Love early on. I mean, the Lions, you saw the difference in the Packers in week 1 compared to week 2. The Lions stomped them at home. So when you talk about, oh, what are the Packers? They're going to bounce back and do the same thing that the Lions did. Like, no, this division is in a much different spot than it was just a season ago. I mean, I think besides the Vikings, all the quarterback play has improved. And the Vikings, I know they don't have a star at quarterback, but they do have Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and Aaron Jones now. So they have a great supporting cast. They're not going to be winning games or winning divisions, but you're talking about, could the Packers easily go into Minnesota and lose? Absolutely, especially when you look at the weaknesses of their defense. So I get the hype, but to the dramatic of the dramatic extreme of the hype is where I get lost.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while too. I think the Browns are missing the playoffs. I don't see any way where they win 10 games. And the chat's been kind of saying it, and I know you guys reiterated a little bit, but the Texans are winning that division. I know, Lucas, you got a lot of love for the Colts, and they can maybe play second, make the wild card, but there's no way in hell that the Texans are winning the AFC South. And I do think the Eagles as well win more games than 10 games. And I also think the Saints, I don't even know if they'll get to 8 wins. And I think the Bucks will be around there, maybe a game above 500. But I'm not too confident with the Saints going into next year either.
I do. You do have to you have to kind of see where is it at? The Lions, like if you look at the division, they have the Packers winning 13 games. So the Packers essentially are tied for the most wins in the NFL. And they're in a division that sends 3 teams to the playoffs. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Like that makes 0 sense at all.
Yeah, the thing I will bring up, Boone, is the Dolphins. You're a big Mike McDaniel guy, correct?
Yeah. The 8-9. I'm not. I said it. I've said it.
You're the only one. I remember these things, Boone. I remember them. You had
Mike
McDaniel
like Jerry Jacobs,
coach, and we would agree that. Would you agree with this, Booner? Miami Dolphins have a very good roster.
They do.
Why'd you sound sad?
They do.
They do. If they go 8-9, Boone, is this a fair take? The only reason I think they would go 8-9 is if Tua gets injured. Like I think they'll win double-digit games, at minimum 10, 11 games. I don't know why you go 8-9. What happened at 8-9?
It's a tough division, and I think that if I remember correctly, when we went through them last time, I think they have a tougher schedule too. So I don't know. 8-9
schedule, and you got Raheem Mostert just played his most healthy season of his career. I mean, he's not even trying to be funny. Like he's had devastating knee injuries damn near every year he's played football, and him coming off that, A-Chain's gonna be a liability. That's a run first team. So I still think they could be good, but I could very well see the Dolphins going 8-9, especially after losing Vic Fangio. Yeah.
So you could see the Dolphins. I like that. That means
I don't think it's. I'm not saying the Dolphins are going 8-9, but if it's the end of the season and the standings are sitting there, you're like the Dolphins went 8-9, they won a game under 500. I would be like, okay, I could see, like in my opinion, honestly,
Ramsey on defense, and they got
some dogs in the defense, but at the end of the day, like the quarterbacks they're playing against, kind of helping Booner's point, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Jalen Ramsey isn't the Jalen Ramsey of old, and I think Javon Holland's great, but that's really like their guy in the secondary as far as up-and-coming elite players, and there's a up-and-coming and not even up-and-coming, but just elite quarterbacks in this division outside of Tua and Drake May. So I think, honestly, the Dolphins' floor is lower than the Bills, but their ceiling is much higher. Because of the quarterback play,
that's fair. I think
defense is probably about the same. Like they're gonna miss Vic Fangio for sure.
You do have to think like Tua went out there and he completely reshaped his body. Like he's like 50 pounds lighter, and he was a guy that was getting hurt all the time before. So it's like that was the thing where people were like, dude, why'd you come back skinny? Like you should have stayed where you are. Like you already were injury prone consistently at Alabama and in the NFL, and then you just go out there and you just completely just lose all this weight. And now,
that was confusing.
So like now, like I'm not gonna say knock on wood, I don't go for injuries, but Tua's a guy that gets injured quite a bit and has been injured in his career at a handful of times. To where you go into this year, if he goes down for a second, all right, there you go, you're 8-9.
Like white time, baby.
Hey, I agree with Tyler. Flip the Lions and Packers. It's a good.
I have the Lions winning 13 and the Packers winning 11 or 12, so I think that's like perfect.
Yeah.
Well, then flip the Colts and the Texans.
Yeah, I mean the Colts. I mean the Texans. What are we doing here, Klotzy? I mean 9-8. Did CJ Stroud get hit by a bus? I mean that's.
I don't agree with the 9-8 for the Texans, but I could see the Texans being like I said. I think they could both be 11-12 win teams, and it comes down to a tiebreaker with it. Like I think the Colts are going to win it. I'm going to stand on that, and I think it's because of Shane Steichen and the pieces they have around Anthony Richardson, not because of Anthony Richardson, because that defense is very, very solid. But no way the Texans are winning 9 games unless it's like a dream team Philadelphia Eagles situation with Mike Vick, but I don't see that happening with a guy like Stroud.
Hey, the AFC playoffs, fellas, like you look at it, you're going to have all right, let's just say the Browns, take the Browns out and put the Ravens up there, right? You'll have Aaron Rodgers versus Lamar Jackson. You'll have Anthony Richardson versus Trevor Lawrence, and you'll have Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow. Like that's basically essentially if you move the Browns and Ravens, that's the first round matchups in the AFC. And then the next one you're going to have like Aaron Rod or like Joe Burrow versus Joe Burrow or Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes again. That's
you talk about it's like that bubble if the Chargers just sneak in there. Like you do not want to see Justin Herbert with a legitimate head coach in the wild card round. No. Brandon Staley. Could you imagine where Justin Herbert would probably be in his career if he didn't have Brandon Staley?
I've been saying that for weeks now with him getting Harbaugh. Like now that his Jim Harbaugh, so once he starts getting he's going to be good without the roster on these weapons. Imagine when they start getting actual weapons around him.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to get scary.
He's not Josh Allen. He can't just carry whoever's there and win a division. You know what I mean? Right, Booner?
I would take Josh Allen over Justin Herbert any day.
You're insane. No, I'm kidding. I just want to get you mad.
I mean,
no, I actually agree with that. But yeah, having a good team is important. It's a team game, ultimate team game. I agree with you. The Chargers 9-8. That's a pretty good year. I mean, pretty good year.
Yeah, year one.
Great year. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to bring this. I mean, the Lions, I want to see, I wish there were explanations for some of these picks because, when you look at it initially, you're like, what the hell? I mean, 11-6. But again, anything can happen. I just think given the Lions' talent, without predicting injuries, they are, I think, better than what they were last year. Even if they stay the same, 12 wins, cool. But if they go to 11, I think that's the absolute floor.
Yeah, 11's the floor.
Keith says Caleb will do that what Bryce Young did last year.
What's the
ceiling? I don't think that's possible. I legitimately don't think that's possible.
You have one quarterback who is in arguably one of the worst situations ever for a rookie quarterback, and then you have another quarterback who is in arguably the best situation a rookie quarterback has ever been into. So, that's where I disagree with you, Caleb. Or Keitho. But stop.
Yeah.
But that's
I do think though
in one of the best situations ever.
That's the thing. It's I don't think he has a CJ Stroud year, but he's got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. He's got an insane. And I know as much as we all don't like DeAndre Swift, he has DeAndre Swift and a couple other guys with him. They have a decent running back room. So he has weapons.
Strong case going for you, Boone. Then you brought up Swift.
Yeah, he could have left.
I'm just trying to talk here.
In there, Cole Kmet. So many.
Hey, you were cooking, but then you brought up Swift.
Just let me cook. I let it off with you guys might not like DeAndre Swift, but they have a decent running back room. Geez. This is what I told you the other day. What was the conversation we had when you said people you don't actually hate this? I can't remember what it was. You're like, I don't actually hate it. I was like, but every time
I have a disliking for DeAndre Swift for sure.
No, there was someone. It wasn't Jack Campbell. It was something that every time I say the name, you're like, oh, it's
Marcus Davenport. And
yes, that's what it was.
Because whenever I think of Marcus,
anytime I say Marcus's name, you're like, oh, it's like, right.
Yeah, I absolutely.
It's not even fun to talk about Marcus Davenport anymore.
No, I'm going to make that noise because one, I think it's funny, and two, it's true because when I think of Marcus Davenport being the reliable option, the bookend of Hutch, which people make him out to be sometimes, they go, oh. Can Marcus Davenport being a 5-6 sack season guy? Yeah, maybe, but I don't think that's what you want in this offseason.
Yeah, J-Rod's right. You're a negative Nancy with some things.
Well, that makes it not fun. Sometimes I got to be real.
It makes it not fun.
To this day, I'm not too confident in Marcus Davenport, but we'll have to see. He'll have to prove me wrong. I'm a negative Nancy too. So fuck.
I'm visualizing and making it obvious audibly what some people aren't really willing to say. And that's what I'm just going to do. So if that makes me negative Nancy,
every time.
If I'm wrong, that's
every time. I'm going to start picking out things
because you know why?
And I'm just going to
I'm consistent. If that's how you feel, that's fine.
Hey, you know what DeAndre Swift is? Like you take all of Chicago's like skill position players and line them up. You're like, look, like wow, Keenan Allen, and you see Swift in the back, just like he's sneaking in the photo. Like
him and Roshan Johnson are tied for yards.
I was gonna say, I don't think they're
like they're not
That's
supposed to be there, but they're in there.
Roshan Johnson.
Their running back room's not like the last in the league. Like they have like
mid,
Khalil Herbert.
It's a running back room. Like you look at it and you're like, whoa.
Roshan Johnson actually might be
up a little bit.
To be honest. I think he might be the bell cow.
combo.
Khalil Herbert's not bad. Hey,
let's
Sam
move
Flannel
on
likes Khalil Herbert.
That's on me. I won't bring up them anymore. Sorry about that. I won't bring up Marcus. I'm right down the list here. Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, never talk about him again.
Davenport and Bears running back room.
It became personal with me.
What the?
I tried an audio out. I tried doing we got to mess with it. That Michael Jordan, I took that personally with Booner right now.
Yeah.
I've got the Klotzy no talk list. I'm starting it.
Yep. There you go.
You're getting emotional, Boone. Don't get emotional on me.
You didn't include me in there, Booner, so I'm happy.
Just
okay. But staying on like the Lions 11-6, maybe a little bit of doubt. Shout out to the Doc, John Macaroon.
The Doc.
Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Check out them check out John and company for all your Lions news, not related to video. Obviously, you come here for crunch time, but if you want to read anything, go check out Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated because John, they put out an article, 5 things that may be concerns for the Lions. We're going to go through them, boys. You tell me if they're fair concerns. All right, fair concerns for this year. I think it's partially winning the NFC North, but being a really good team. But here's the first one. NFC North improvements. I'm not going to read everything here, but basically it talks about how the NFC North has improved, Green Bay being one of those teams, and why they added Josh Jacobs. They upgraded after going toe-to-toe with the 49ers, and then he mentions Caleb Williams. And, wow, the Bears will be better. Is that fair? Is that a fair NFC North division? Way tougher than it was last year.
I think with the Packers, what they did to end the season last year, like they automatically jump into one of the top in the NFC. And then I think the Bears, they obviously made a ton of moves in the offseason and draft Caleb Williams. So whether you don't like them or not, like they're still going to be a decent team. They're probably going to win, I'd probably say 7 to 9 games because what they won last year, 6 or 7. Like they were.
No, I think they won. Yeah, they might have won 7. They were a game out of the playoffs though. Like they were fighting with the Packers towards the end. Yeah.
I thought that was the Vikings. I didn't know.
No, because Vikings, Kirk got hurt. They went on a little run and it faded out. But the Bears were like fighting for playoff contention till the end.
Yeah, the 7-10. Yeah, they went 7-10. Vikings went 7-10 too. Yeah, so they won 7 last year. So I think 7 to 9 games for them is like perfectly fine. So, but that's a tough division though. Like you have multiple playoff teams in this division potentially.
I mean, I do agree with that fact that every team got better or whatnot, and there was improvements. Obviously, the Vikings still have to figure out what they're doing with the quarterback, but I think who made the biggest improvements might even be the Lions. So, while I agree with this, I still think the Lions took a step forward in their areas that they needed. Obviously, they addressed the defensive line. They bring in DJ Reader, and then they go out and get their cornerback one. So, as much as these teams made improvements, the Lions did as well. So,
what about the next one? Difficult schedule. They will play 8 games against teams that made the playoffs last year, including rematches with each of the 3 postseason opponents.
I didn't even read that part, the 8, and I went through the schedule. Like, there's 10 teams or 10 plus games that they have versus potential playoff opponents. Like, that's pretty tough. Like and you have some tough road games, so like it's going to be a tough schedule for sure.
I do agree.
Oh, go ahead, Gentry.
No, you can go.
I would say it's a tough scenario, but that's where getting back to the Lions' identity, and even like people still sleep on the fact that they brought in Kevin Zeitler, and you could say the Lions' strength even upgraded outside of their defense. And when you're a run-first team, yeah, the Lions, they could be going up against better quarterbacks, but one, they're going to be playing in domes in most of these games, so that's going to help them out tremendously. And they're going to be able to run on all of these teams, and they're going to be able to stop the other team run. So I think the Lions, the whole reason I love the Colts is because I think they're a team that schematically can go into any team and find a way to control the clock. The Lions can do that, but they're elite at doing it, and I think they can even shut the elite teams down. Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, but the Lions still found a way to control the clock in situational moments to go and get the win. Now they have more experience. tougher schedule, but there's also a tougher Lions team. I think that just comes with the territory of it. Like when the Chiefs win in divisions, they have the toughest schedule in their division every year. AFC North, whoever wins that division, they get it every. So it comes with the territory, and it's something that with the Lions being older now, I think that it's kind of organically just kind of be the same season they were facing last year. But obviously difficult when it comes to quarterbacks, but this roster is going to organically get better as the schedule gets organically tougher.
Yep.
Yeah. And just got a comment. I really like this. The first 4 games is like an exam for secondary. And I do agree. I think kind of facing that gauntlet, early on is just going to prep this team for, have them ready till later on in the year. And even though the schedule is difficult, I can't remember the exact amount of games, but they play a lot of games indoors, which is only going to help Jared Goff's case, obviously. So it is a difficult schedule, but if they go out and obviously they play their type of football, like Lukas alluded to, running the ball, controlling the ground, I think they'll be all right. And you even have, like I said, you're playing inside for most of your games where Jared Goff is most comfortable. So I think they'll be all right.
You got to think that, like, the schedule, it gets you ready to go win a Super Bowl. Like the Lions were one of the best teams in football last year, and they lose week 1 to the Lions. And like they lost to the Eagles when the Eagles were on that stretch. They lost to Buffalo at a point, and then they also had a couple that they dropped that they shouldn't have. But like through the gauntlet, especially when you win your division and you have to play other teams and division winners the next year when you get lined up in matchups, like that's how it works in the NFL. So like when you're starting to get lined up with these other best teams in other divisions, that just gets you, like, whether you win 11 or 13 games, look at who you lost to and look at the games that you had to go through. And so, like, when you get in the playoffs, that's why, like, 11-win teams in the playoffs, like the Bengals a few years ago, like, teams, like, go through things in the season. Like, the Rams, when they won the Super Bowl, they didn't have a ton of – they didn't lead the NFL in wins that year. But they were, like, ready to go because they went through so much that year that they knew exactly what they needed to do to go win a Super Bowl. Yeah. So, like, even if it is a difficult schedule, it's like it all is preparing you to win a Super Bowl at the end of the day.
It's fair. I mean, I think the schedule, you kind of rise to the expectations the better you get. So, yeah. I mean, I agree with you guys. They're built for it. They improved. So, obviously health is a big factor, but that's a factor with every team. So
that's exactly what I put in my notes. I said it's just a factor with any NFL team.
Yeah, it's not really just exclusive to the Lions. That's just in general. I mean, yeah, you got to stay healthy. The next thing is pass defense concerns, and I guess that is fair too. And we just went through it. Mike brought up the comment how it is an exam. I think that's I don't know if there's not really too much to add here. I think that's an obvious one, right? Pass defense, can it improve? How much can it improve? And what would this new look secondary look like?
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think too. I think like we like the first 4 games, like we just have to like that's the exam, and you just have to see it. Like I said earlier in the show, like I just want to see this secondary, and then we'll find out from there. But like that's going to be a big difference this year. But we have to see it to really believe that they fixed it.
I think at corner, besides Terrion, I think Carlton Davis is one player I'll be keyed in on because he's your number 1 corner. How does he play to start the year? Can he be a true number 1 corner? And then we'll see. We'll find out that. Not the history trends.
Yeah, can we just skip that? Like I love the doc. I think what happened last year, you went to an NFC Championship game. The history trends is out the door. You proved everything wrong, or you proved everything. Like that had not like if history trends was still a thing, you wouldn't have won a playoff game last year.
No,
someone would have got hurt, or is that what he's talking about? Or,
no, it's not.
Oh my gosh, that's where I took it, and I was like, "Come on, Doc."
No, he's not talking about same old Lions. He's talking about how teams that reach the NFC Championship game typically they don't make it back and get back to the Super Bowl. And the 49ers did it last year, and he writes becoming the first team to do that since they did it under Jim Harbaugh. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh. And he says, as a result, history is not on the side of the Lions in 2024. Detroit is facing more buzz than ever before, and as a result, will face pressure to live up to expectations. I mean, he is right. I'm not saying they can't. I don't think he didn't say they can't do it. He just said that is something that is not common, which I brought that up after the game they lost. And Dan even told the team in the locker room, Dan literally said that he's going to be much harder to get back here next year.
Yeah.
So he's not wrong. He's, will they do it? We believe so, but you can't hate it.
It is something that makes it harder for sure. Like it's hard to get
right.
Everything that we're naming makes it that much harder, like the injuries and things like that.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like that's almost at least with this team, I feel like it's more mental. Just because we talk about the collapse of all these teams that get there and like what the roster actually turns into. With this Lions roster, we talk about how it's different, and it truly is different. We talk about all the time about how those rosters that made to the NFC Championships, they fall apart with key players. Well, this team isn't going anywhere, so I feel like it's all mental. And with this coaching staff, I mean, they're almost going to be like telling them, like Dan literally said it after the NFC Championship game. Like he's like, we might not get back here ever again. So I think with this whole team, they have this narrative locked in, and they're going to be using it as motivation to fuel them the whole season.
That's fair. The next one he has here is injury threats, which we all agree. And that is, and by the way, shout out to Christian. He wrote the article. But injury threats is the biggest thing. I mean, that's the hardest thing to avoid for any NFL team, to avoid injury. And the Lions were pretty much healthy. I mean, Jonah was banged up, and they had some other players that, James Houston out, so on and so forth. But it is something they're going to have to face. That's why what Lucas brought up earlier with depth, it's the most important piece. So, and they have depth. So, especially in the secondary, which, thank goodness.
They made sure. They doubled down.
Yeah, they doubled They doubled down. Yeah, no doubt. So, hey, pretty fair. I don't hate that. All stuff we discuss a lot on this show. But we're going to get to Mailbag. Please get your questions ready. I see a couple that are already in here first. I mean, J-Rod will start. Mailbag, why is Davenport listed as an outside linebacker and no D-end or defensive lineman? I know it's early.
I really don't have an answer for that.
A lot of
playing outside linebacker. That's James Houston.
Well, there's a lot of I think a lot of DNs are listed
like
for some
Levi,
reason.
like Levi's listed as an end, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, TJ, there's so many guys in the NFL that probably should be listed as DNs, and they're listed as outside linebackers. It's like
I think this is my theory. All right. I don't know if it's just my theory. Is it because you need a certain amount of players in that certain position? That's
probably.
Like if you put them at DN, they have a ton of DNs right now. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying with cuts. Like once you get like I'm just using him for like Levi. He's listed as a defensive end right now. Like if he gets cut, okay, now you can move Davenport down to defensive end. You know what I mean? Vice versa with tackle. Yeah. Making up a hypothetical situation.
Honestly,
gets released, whatever, defensive tackle. Then you move Levi from defensive end to defensive tackle. To your point, Jeff, it's all just switching around.
Honestly, the first thing that pops in my head is, and then I actually see Andrew Jones just put it in there too. But the thing I was thinking was when he signed the contract, like maybe it's cheaper as an outside linebacker, and that was what he signed under as an outside linebacker, or maybe his agent says, "Hey, this is what we want to get," and they had to put him down as an outside linebacker to do it. So that's what they submit to the NFL.
Yeah, I think overall it's a big nothing burger. I mean,
he's still going to be playing the same position. It's gonna be no difference.
Because the only thing, like with when you say like TJ Watt, like just schematically, especially where he plays, like for the Pittsburgh Steelers, like he is an outside linebacker. Like they play a 3-4, and even like coming out of Wisconsin, he was. But Marcus Davenport's always been an end.
There's a ton of guys in the NFL that are back and forth. I was just throwing that out.
Like Judon.
No, I was saying like
Judon is an outside linebacker, but he really, I mean, you're putting him on the edge. I guess you can play him. I mean, but. Regardless, Steve Lehman, Mailbag, congrats on 2 million views. Steve,
appreciate that.
Thank you. We appreciate it. It's big time, man.
Thank you to you guys.
Yeah, for real. Especially it's you guys. I mean, we're not watching our videos 2 million times, so it's not you guys.
Sit there and refresh it 2 million times.
Yeah, hey, I used to do that. I used back in the day. When YouTube was coming out, I used to hit the refresh, see how many views I can get. And it capped out after a couple, but hey, I respect it.
You helped yourself out.
Those numbers added up.
Yeah, they did. Get a couple, got a little 5 on it.
There you go. That was worth.
Extra 5 views. It matters. Matthew Evans, Mailbag, Jack Campbell, 110 tackles this year.
125.
Damn.
Because how much did he have
last let's just give this one to Booner.
Yeah, 125.
125 this year. Let me check. You guys could talk while I'm looking for it.
You're looking for like an exact line.
Anzo had 129 last year, so I think Jack Campbell gets up there is 125. I was in a different thing here. No one said anything. I was sitting there.
It was like it was like deal or no deal. They're like opening the case. Like I was waiting. I was like, hold on, what's he about to say?
I was like, bro, what's going on? This is a very awkward silence.
You should have these Jack Campbell stats memorized at this point, Boone.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, there's so many players that
it's just in Booner. I want to see what goes on in Booner's head. That's really what I
Your love is fake.
Dream vet.
I'm just gonna throw it out. I don't have a great memory. Like I don't like remember players from back in the day. Anything like I forget things so fast. Like that's why I'm always prepping. I prep so much.
So I got the notes.
Yeah, because I do not have a great memory, dude. I don't remember what I did like a month ago. Like it's just what it is. You could ask me, hey, who was the tight end on the 2003 team? I'd be like, dude, I don't remember anything. Some people just don't have it.
Xavier D says Mailbag Dream vet cuts we could pick up.
Booner wants Robert Woods.
No, fuck Robert Woods. You bring me
I think there's other
difference maker.
There was a player.
Bobby Trees.
Just trolling.
Bobby Trees.
I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah, dream vet cuts we could pick up or just dream cuts? Because like Adam Thielen wished are they going to cut him? No, but like that's a dream cut. Like please just cut him. He's for whatever reason he just stinks all of a sudden.
Yeah,
but one guy that we were talking about a while ago about signing was Gilmore. And is he still a free agent? I swear I seen a tweet about him saying that there's not blah 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 a certain amount of corners better than me right now. I don't know.
Could you
can never have enough corners.
The thing is like you don't even need him anymore.
Yeah, I know.
You really don't. But would I love Gilmore on this team? Absolutely. That was my number one free agent heading into the offseason.
That's what I was getting at. That was our dream vet at the time, but now we have no need for him.
As long as he doesn't go to Green Bay, I'm cool.
Let's see. Jesse Adams, Mailbag. Am I crazy for thinking everyone in the media is underselling the Lions' consistency and team chemistry? The division is better, yes, but everyone has a new coordinator. Lions don't.
Yeah, I think like Ben Johnson year 3, AG year 4. They've been consistent since they started 1-6 2 years ago.
I mean, the Packers got a new defensive coordinator, Bears got a new offensive coordinator, and the Vikings, they did not get a new coordinator, I don't think.
I mean, and no matter what roster turnovers, the Lions have won. They ended the season 9-3. They won however many, 12 last year, should have been 13. Like they've been pretty consistent since they've added the new coordinators. Ben Johnson.
I just think it's who you're like tuning into as well, just because the Lions, like obviously the hype around the franchise is new, but I think the Lions hype is people are used to it now. They got to find different ways to get it with the Packers, especially too. There's going to be the hype there, especially with Jordan Love. So become part of it. But I think if people know ball, then they realize that the Detroit Lions are legitimate. And I think they proved it last year. I don't know why you shouldn't believe it now.
Let's see here.
Jeff, this is for you.
Jay Hart, Mailbag, forgive me. That's the point where you have to say forgive me when you ask a Pistons question, man. Shout out to you, Jay Hart. He says, Pistons talk. Thoughts after Summer League on the Rooks in Ron's last game. Should the Pistons be in the mix for at least the 10 seed, given the moves by Langdon? 10 seed, I don't mind it. I don't mind the take. You know, that puts you technically in the play-in. So, you know, that's where, you know, where we're –
you fighting.
That's where it gets interesting, Jay Hart, because if they're in the play-in, I'm very excited. That's a good step in the right direction. I would say they don't make the play-in, but if they do, they brought in some vets, so I'm with you. I love the moves, and I think you would agree with that. But my thoughts on the Summer League, I think Klitman, absolute stud. To draft him in the second round, the dude can shoot the ball. Another wing. I love the pick. Should have been a late first. Wasn't too familiar. Booner educated us and the people more on his connections in Australia about Klitman. Absolute stud. And then Rod Holland, I mean, I didn't really learn anything new. Absolute defensive menace. I mean, that's what he did all Summer League. Now, the three-point shot, I think he shot like 20-something%. So, you know, he was as advertised. Great defender, an absolute demon driving to the basket. He's a difference maker, especially on the defensive end. So I thought it was great. But I am curious, Ron Holland, as the season goes on, kind of what he looks like from game 1 to game 82. I think that's the biggest storyline. And if Klitman, you know, it cracks a little bit some playing time towards the end, depending on how the season goes. Because I think they got you don't really see second-round picks work out in Detroit, especially for the Pistons. I mean, the Pistons.
I don't see any picks work out here.
Relax. Relax. But Klitman, I think he can be the one, boys. I know it's Summer League. Don't take too much from it, but just what he brings to the table, I like it a lot. You know, I do. But the play-in, pretty optimistic from Jay Hart. Yeah, very optimistic.
If they're in that, like, a play-in territory. I mean, I'm assuming that's like 35 wins, which I don't think they get to. But do you think they like go out and maybe make a move to like help their roster at that point in time?
Yeah, if you're like a little under 500, it just depends. I think at that point depends. I mean, if your young core's playing well, maybe you just let it rock. You know, let those guys grow together because I'm assuming they're gonna have Cade, Ivy. Maybe Ivy comes off the bench. Never know. I know you're smiling.
What would your emotions be if it was for the benefit of the team? The Pistons are better, but Jaden Ivey's coming off the bench. What are your emotions when not even like good or bad? What are you thinking, Jeff, when you see that? Especially with Langdon.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me just take a break. Repeat the question. All right, let me just. I want to make sure I hear this and nail this question.
Process.
Okay.
When you hear that the Detroit Pistons are better, but Jaden Ivey's coming off the bench.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for the question, Lukas Klotz of Crunch Time Sports. I think it's.
Booner, are you in the media room or are you locking in?
It depends. I think
I'm part of the staff
sometimes. Yeah, and Booner's my publicist. He's next to me just in case any questions get thrown at me. I'm not necessarily a fan of. He'll answer it for me. But I think Jaden Ivey, very fine player. If he comes off the bench, he's playing 25, 27, 28 minutes a night. Depends on the role. If he's excelling in that said role, I'm cool with it. Again, would I be a little disappointed? Yeah, I think he should be a starter given his talent, but whatever's best for the team, gentlemen, whatever's best for the team. And if you add more shooting and Jaden Ivey hasn't come along with that yet, I wouldn't mind to see a Tim Hardaway Jr. out there with Tobias Harris, with Cade, Duren, and then I would assume it'd be a SAR. So I'm cool with it, guys. But at the end, I'm thinking, damn, is he going to start? I mean, I guess you're trading him now because you didn't draft a career sixth man of the year. All right.
Well, I mean, let's be realistic, though. There's been a lot of not career, but guys, James Harden came off the bench in Oklahoma City for a handful of years.
Baby.
And that was the beginning of his career.
But you know what that indicates to me, Boone? You're absolutely correct. And I like that. But guess what happened to James Harden? Ended up thriving in another city. That would indicate probably Ivy. He doesn't have a future.
I mean, no, that doesn't because Ginobili, to Clyde's point too, Ginobili.
I mean, James Harden was still good at his.
There are a lot of there was a lot of people who come off the bench and they end up. That's kind of how their career gets rolling a little bit, where like they have the talent to start on a team. What's best for the team to go out there and win? If you come off the bench, like if that helps with rotations and keeping guys on the floor that can score and make plays, then you have to do it. But like last year, it was like Monty just completely deflected Jaden Ivey. Like it wasn't like, hey, come in as a sixth man and let's see what happens. It was just like it was like clear, like Monty was like, I just don't like Jaden Ivey. And it was just like, all right, this is weird. But like if JB Bickerstaff can find a way to go out there and like actually turn like a Jaden Ivey into what OKC had with James Harden or Ginobili or Jamal Crawford or like players that have actually impacted on really good teams to start their careers to do that, then yeah, like why?
But that was hold on. But can I bring? Would this be fair to say that was a team that made the finals, and this is a team that
they didn't make the finals year one with James Harden?
But my point is, when they made the finals, they had Westbrook, KD.
Yes, but they had to get to
Ivy's
that point
on the bench with Tim Hardaway Jr. starting. Like, I get it; it's a better fit, you could argue. But I'm thinking, damn, like,
but Jeff, they had to get to that point, though, right? Like. You have to, so like that. Maybe that's part of it. Like, he has to grow into that role, and that's his role in this team. And then if he ends up turning into a starter, okay. But like, I wouldn't like sit there if he's coming off the bench, be like, "Oh, what are we doing?" Like, no, like I trust JB Bickerstaff. I didn't trust Monty.
I gotta earn that. I'm sorry.
I gotta do that.
I'm a little skeptical, Boone. Forgive me, please. I've suffered a lot. All right, I gotta see it. I know, and you'll understand that. I gotta see. Let me just see how it plays out. We'll see how it goes. I hope Cade and Ivy can start together, but, we shall see. Ivy's got to shoot like 37% from three. If that's going to happen, 36, 37.
He could shoot, shoot 30. What did he shoot this year?
That shit is not happening, but go on.
What did he shoot this year?
I think he shot this year like 33, 34.
Just give me 35, dude. Like, give me something.
Jump my ass.
Just give me something. Let me see. Hold on. I want to see something. Yeah, give me 35. James Harden, year 2, 35% from three. Give me 35.
No. We're not going to let Mike get away with that shit. All right, Mike.
What did he say?
He's not making a 4% jump. He might make like
guys just yapping to you.
But come on now, let's be real.
Hey, how about this? Catch and shoot threes. Can you get better?
What's up?
Catch and shoot threes. He has to get better. All right.
Shot selection.
Well.
Yeah,
catch and shoot. You know, maybe some off the dribble. He might not shoot. Just catch and shoot. Shoot like 35, 36. I'll go with that.
I will say you can jump 4 or 5% based off Fred Vincent coming in, based off better shot selection.
Talk to him, Boone.
Bringing in a Tim Hardaway and those guys in to help him kind of a little bit develop into becoming like maybe a knockdown guy, be in the corner. Boom, get ready.
Yeah,
Bop.
Mike, focus on Marco Casper, right?
I
do
think
that's
how much
that's
impact he makes on those guys like Azor and obviously Jaden Ivey. Hopefully, he fixes it. But
it'd be nice if the Pistons won 30 games. I mean, that'd be cool.
It would be cool.
That'd be sick.
Yep.
Oh man.
All right. Hey, we appreciate all you. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great night. Don't forget,
Hit the like button.
Check out our clips following the shows the day after. And don't forget also follow us on all social media platforms at Official CT Sports on Facebook and Instagram, and at Official CT Pod on Twitter, and at Official Crunch Time on TikTok. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Stay blessed out there. Stay safe.
Love you guys.
Deuces.